everybody. We are here to give you guys what you've been wanting, the Spider-Man No Way Home spoiler breakdown. So if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, please come back to this later because you do not want to be spoiled by some of the things that we're going to talk about, things that we're going to say we like, things we say we didn't like, things that surprised us, things that did not. And I have a group of different great individuals here, and we're going to go and just kind of give everybody a moment to just express who they are. First up, Matt. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on the channel, as always. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about Spider-Man in this video. I'm waiting to hear what everyone else has to say. But if you guys don't know who I am, you guys can check me out on YouTube at Matthew V. Games.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I got here Ant Go. What's up, Ant?
Hey, man. Again, thanks for having me out. I just came in from Earth 1610. It's great over here. I love your universe. Just wait to see what happens next.
Oh, my gosh. Thanks for being here, bro. Got next, Ty. What's up, bro?
What's going on, good people? It's your boy LT here, rocking with Team JVS for a little Spider-Man review. Some Spider-Man movie came out. It was all right. We're going to talk about it. We'll get to it later. Holla at your boy.
Last but not least, we got here Jor-Els Alexander. What's up, dude?
Yo, what's going on, people? What's going on? I'm ready.
Yeah, you can't see him, but he's that little orb next to the goblin right over there. If you want to go check out his channel, and this is going to be interesting because we're coming at this from a lot of different angles, and we've got like different questions that they don't know what I'm going to be asking them. But the first icebreaker is this:
let's get it.
What did you want from this film when it was first announced, and what was delivered to you in this film accordingly? So, in other words, what did you anticipate that you're like, all right, I'm going to get this, and what actually did deliver positively on your behalf while watching it? I'll go Ant.
When it was first announced, I just really wanted a Spider-Man film where he became Spider-Man for me,
Okay.
where he just wasn't. I felt like he was still like the first two movies he had. He was still on the proto Spider-Man phase, where he just hadn't come on his own yet. There's a couple of key elements you need for me to be Spider-Man, and that's what I was hoping. I didn't think I was going to get it. I honestly thought they weren't gonna rock the boat too much and mature the Spider-Man. I think they were keeping a Pikachu, never be a Raichu, and I was wrong. I was wrong. I was very, very, very wrong.
Respect. All right, LT. What about you?
So I honestly just wanted a decent Spider-Man movie, and I just wanted it to continue with all the whole controversy and everything between Marvel and Sony and rights over who has Spider-Man and all that. I just wanted them to sort all that out and give us a decent movie, a movie that I can comfortably sit next to. Homecoming and Far From Home. I was not expecting to get this epic of a movie. This movie was great. So I am more than happy. I have one particular issue with it that's a result of the whole Sony Marvel thing, but we'll get into that later. But I am super satisfied that I got a great movie instead of just a good movie.
Respect. I appreciate that. Jor-El. Oh, wait, let me do it like this.
So, what was I expecting, and what did we get? What did I get?
What did you want from this film? When it was first announced, when it was not later on when we got spoiled with it, but when it was first announced, and what did it deliver for you? What they actually nailed in terms of delivery for you personally.
So, I mean, honestly, we've talked about this hilariously, but the only thing that I wanted was just a good to great story. In a nutshell, those are too big. And what did I actually get? Is the other question?
No. It was what did you want from this that did deliver? What delivered for you?
Oh, what
did you
worked?
wanted?
What worked for me?
Yeah.
Well, that is a good question. What worked for me? Oh yeah, I forgot we're talking spoilers. I guess what worked for me was I guess the multiversal angle. I guess the having multiple characters on screen or Spider-Man on screen, and there were moments where it was exciting. I suppose that.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Yeah. And then last but not least, Matt, what about you?
So for me, I wanted everything that we got. I wanted Charlie Cox back as Daredevil. I wanted Andrew Garfield. I wanted Tobey Maguire. I wanted to see all three of them on screen with Tom. And I just wanted a really fun yet serious, in some ways, Spider-Man movie. And I got everything that I wanted, despite one thing. And maybe me and LT might share that opinion. But besides one thing that I didn't really like, but besides that, everything that I mentioned before is all that I really, really honestly wanted. So I was satisfied with that.
Yeah. For me, I particularly didn't. I liked the Vulture in Homecoming, but outside of that, I didn't really care for any of the other characters. I thought that Tom Holland could be a good high school Spider-Man, but by the time we got to, Far From Home, I loved the action in it, but I still didn't like the characters, and I still felt like he needed to actually grow up. I didn't feel as though I got a Peter Parker, And so I was like, when is he going to actually really be, Peter Parker? What is the struggle here, And I was like, I hate to say it in this way, but I wanted him to struggle. Like, I wanted him to kind of struggle to show the level of responsibility what this is, and thankfully that is something that I felt like this movie delivered, which we'll go into a little bit more. All right, first question is this. I'm gonna go ahead and do this like blanket style. All right, in comparison to the other Spider-Man films and superhero films that were released this year, what was it about this film that you felt like was different than what you've seen all year? And we've seen a lot of different films this year. Like, we've got Zack Snyder's Justice League that came out. We got Shang-Chi. We got Black Widow. We got a lot of different other films. But was it for you? Was this the best superhero film this year, and why? And you can go into deep spoilers as to what reasons that were, because we're about to go into some heavy stuff in terms of the story in a little bit.
Oof.
Anybody can start.
So,
yeah.
I might start because or did you want to go first? You can go first, Matt.
I mean, you were talking, so that's all good.
Look, y'all better start because y'all know I love to interrupt. So come on.
all right. I'll go.
You go.
So, sorry, Sam. Remind me the question one more time. I'm sorry about that.
All right. So, in comparison to the other superhero films that came out this year, and also other Spider-Man films that we've had in the past, when you think about this film, was this something that stood apart from the other superhero films this year, or was this like your least favorite? Was this something that worked, and why? Why was it that this film may have stood apart from what we've seen? Because I mean, when you got like a film like Zack Snyder's Justice League that had all this hype and build up and added things that we could have never anticipated, like, how do you compare something like what we got for this to that? You know what I'm saying? So,
okay,
I just want you to go into that a little bit.
Okay,
I feel like a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so where that is concerned, I mean, when you really look at the movie, and I've only seen it once, I want to see it again at least a couple more times within the next couple of weeks, just so I can dive in more deep to it. But when you look at it, it's really your normal cookie cutter type of superhero movie with superhero, elements that you would want in a superhero film. But to me, what stood out and what made it on the top of my list, because I'll just say this, full transparency, Zack Snyder's Justice League is my number one superhero movie for the year. The year.
Less facts.
But No Way Home is around second or third place, as of right now. I still have to think about it. But the reason why it's up there is because simply the fan service, I think, was the best that I've seen and I say it in a positive way from a lot of superhero movies that we've seen, apart from Zack Snyder's Justice League, because I had a lot of great. I feel like that was a love message to fans. But No Way Home had a nostalgia for me, like growing up watching Toby films and Andrew movies, and just always wanting to see them on screen, and maybe seeing their characters return again at later points in time, to me was something that I always wanted. So just being able to have that nostalgia factor coupled in with the great fan service moments and just amazing Spider-Man doing amazing things. I mean, to me, that was just enough for me to get it up on that list.
Okay.
All right.
I hope I answered the question right. So
no, that's fine. Like, you can go as in depth as you really want to. Like I said, like, this is spoilers. So anything you want to go into, how deep you want to get into it, this is the moment, because I think other people out there want to be like, okay, what was the best superhero film this year?
Okay.
Why was this something that made, what I'm saying? Like, we can go into it as deep as you want to. Like, even if it's something personal, we can go into it.
So
I keep forgetting, Joe. I'm sorry.
Interestingly, the Snyder Cut is my favorite. Well, I guess it's between Snyder Cut or Suicide Squad. I suppose is my favorite superhero film of the year. I guess Suicide Squad was just villain, so maybe just the Snyder Cut is my favorite. I won't be shy about it. I had a lot of problems with No Way Home. For those of you who don't know, I gave No Way Home like a 6 out of 10. For me, I guess to distill it down, No Way Home, it's a mediocre movie with really great moments and a couple of some of my favorite images from the MCU period. It certainly is fun. It certainly is exciting. But my main issue, and I love, fuck man, do I love Spider-Man? But the issue for me is that, like, this movie is all about, like, hey, look at this great character. Look at these great characters on screen before that you have not seen on screen before in this way prior, and that's all good and fun. But when you push that to the side, which I know is hard for people, but when you push that to the side, when you push the Spider-Man to the side, when you push all these villains to the side, when you push Daredevil to the side, unfortunately, this is a really thin movie from a story perspective. So I don't know if that entirely answers your question, but that's my biggest issue with this movie. It's more so like, hey, look at these characters on screen. Hey, look at all this nostalgia, as opposed to like a timeless great story, so, like the Amazing Spider-Verse or like the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So the point of entry for that for me is all right. So you said the Zack Snyder Justice League was the best superhero film this year.
Yeah.
With Zack Snyder's Justice League, was that something that the story, the visuals, everything about that landed where this didn't, or what?
Correct. Yeah, because the thing that's intriguing about the Snyderverse is that it wasn't relying on like, hey, look at these characters. Isn't that cool? For 4 hours, like there was a story that I thought was more something interesting to chew on versus this movie all day. Okay, for sure.
We'll go into it more. We'll go into it more.
Yeah.
Can I add something to that? Like one quick note though, if possible.
Go ahead. You gotta be very careful. I want to give everybody time.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say, just to add to Jor-El about Zack Snyder. Go ahead. The music was the big thing for me.
Ooh.
Like a big thing for me. But that's all I wanted to say. But
yeah.
That was dope. All right. I think Ant.
All right. So I'm gonna say this. I don't know what y'all guys are smoking. There's some good stuff over there. This movie, first of all, Zack Snyder's that wasn't a movie. That was a miniseries. And so, like, if you want to count that as the best superhero movie of the year, that's great. I liked it. I liked it.
It's just an hour. It
was a TV. Oh, that's my time. No, joke. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, look, baby. It's just an hour longer than Endgame, but proceed.
All right, yeah. So it's a mix. But yeah. So I know what you're saying. You said it was some great moments and some of the best visuals or something like you said. And but it's a mediocre movie.
Yeah.
No, man. I think it was. You're looking at just the parts And when it comes together, the experience in the story gave you something that I didn't get from Justice League. I don't really think I've gotten a lot of it since maybe Infinity War, where I had a cathartic experience after I left this movie. I called Lucas and I was like, Lucas, I gotta talk. He's like, are you in trouble? I was like, no. He's like, it's 11:30. I was like, oh, my bad, Sam. What you like? I needed to talk to somebody to unload the emotions I got. Tom Holland became Peter Parker in this movie. He matured. He went through his adolescence, his trials, and his tribulations in this. But he also, there was real weight. There was real weight and loss. Besides just the universe and the world's going to destroy, there were real stakes at the end and real sacrifice. And if you didn't feel anything at the end, there was a couple of moments you should have felt something. But if you really didn't feel anything in the end of how he fully embraced the saying of "with great power comes great responsibility," I don't know what to tell you, man. There are some things that are worse than death, especially in films and fiction where death can be so easily reversed. And this was one of them. Can you imagine everybody you know, forgetting who you are, everybody you loved, everybody you have connection with, everybody, and you willingly sacrifice that stuff, everything you work for through school, work, all your achievements, all your driver's license, everything like that, gone. And you willingly sacrifice that for the betterment of other people. And even after it's fixed, you like rebuild it, but are they better off without me? That was a Spider-Man moment. Spider-Man can be defined by his tragedies and how he responds to those tragedies, how he responds to making those decisions and live with it, and sometimes how he carries that guilt and responsibility. And I got that from this. Death is easy compared to a lot of things, but just look at picture, just being alone, no one support system. And this is the first time this Spider-Man hasn't had a support system of any kind, and just back to basics. And all the other characters did great in this movie. I've always liked Ned, but he worked better for me in this movie. MJ worked better for me in this movie. Aunt May, even the way that Aunt May went out, it had layers. Because I remember in the theaters, I hit when the glider hit her, and she got up, and I was like, "Oh man, she's dead." And then she kind of staggered. It looked like she was in shock, and it was layers of her dying. It wasn't just a quick death or the movie like, "Oh, last words." It was layers of her losing her. I don't know what to say. There was a lot of character arcs, emotions, realistic behaviors that I haven't gotten in a comic movie in a very long time. So if you take pound for pound, was this fan service? Yeah, pound for pound was this ooh, look at that. Yeah, but was there deeper layers under that? So I would say pound for pound, this is the best comic movie of the year. I would put this as one of the top 3 comic movies ever, actually. But I mean live action. But yeah, that's my opinion.
All right, so this is all good. All this we ain't even got to the big questions yet. All right, LT, what about you, bro?
All right, so
it's getting deep.
No,
Right,
it's gonna get spicy.
So yeah, I can't, as much love as I got for Jor-El, I can't completely agree with that, because I mean, when you're talking about all the stuff you're taking away, you're basically taking away the entire movie. This is not one of those where
that's my point.
You're taking away the entire movie, but at the same time, it's not really saying that it's a bad movie for me. My thing is, you're talking about, take away this and the fanfare stuff is in there, but for me, the underlying piece is that this is the story that makes Tom Holland's Spider-Man stand with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. This is the movie, and I'm gonna put it like this. There's going to be a moment, and this for folks that have kids, that their kid is gonna see Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, and they're gonna ask, "What's that about?" And you are gonna happily pull out Star Wars and show that to them. This is the movie that when I show this to my son and he's going to ask me, who are those other 2 spider people? And I can go pull out those movies and show it to him. That's what this movie is for me. This movie is literally where Peter Parker truly becomes Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man are, classics in my opinion. I actually am still hurt that they didn't continue Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man. I thought that was epic, as we could skip off Spider-Man 3, but Spider-Man 1 and 2 for Tobey Maguire was incredibly awesome. My thing is that when it comes to this particular Spider-Man, there were just key things in it I saw that let me know ahead of time that this was going to be the Spider-Man, the epic. This is really where Tom Holland, Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man. The minute he said, this isn't my problem, helping these people is not my problem, I triggered to when the guy ran by Tobey Maguire,
Yes.
and the same thing with Andrew Garfield. Just like Ant said, when he got hit, when Aunt May got hit with the glider and she stood up, I said, oh, she's fine. Okay. Well, this is the MCU, it's cool. Not a lot of major sacrifice, stuff like that. But the minute she said, and let's keep in mind, Aunt May is the original with great power, because they literally, because it's not like Uncle Ben when he says with great power comes great responsibility. She literally took it from the original Amazing Spider-Man. With great power, there must also come great responsibility. When she said that, I knew she was dead. I knew then before she hit the ground, because it would not have the same impact if it didn't happen that way. And when she said it, I was like, this is where he truly becomes Spider-Man. And I knew it the minute he simply, just like Ant said, when it went from, okay, I don't want anyone to remember that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, to I don't want anybody to remember Peter Parker. Because at the end of the day, Spider-Man is a hero, Spider-Man is a symbol. He is an image. Anybody else at any point, if they were ever bitten by, and we've got proof of that. We've got Spider-Gwen. We've got Miles Morales. We've got Spider-Man from India. But the thing is, anybody with a moral compass could be Spider-Man. But this dude literally sacrificed his own existence, or people knowing of his existence, in order for them to be safe. And they even show you the details in post. The fact that he's standing there talking to Happy Hogan and asked him, "How do you know May?" Through Spider-Man. Not that she's Peter's aunt, but through Spider-Man. It's like no one's forgotten what Spider-Man has done, but no one remembers Peter Parker. That's a huge sacrifice that honestly Tobey Maguire nor Andrew Garfield has ever gone through, which is what makes this an ultimate Spider-Man for me. Like, to walk in the world where nobody knows you, that's a huge sacrifice. And I can say in my mind, I don't think Tobey or Andrew have ever made that level of sacrifice in their movies. Tom Holland set the bar pretty high for Spider-Man, and that's why I think this, although I do agree with Matt, Zack Snyder's Justice League for 2021 is my superhero movie.
Let's go.
This right here isn't even number 2. It's 1.5. Like, we could toss this around. We could literally toss this around. That's my take.
Thank you, LT. All right, so last but not least, we got a member of Team JVS here, Keaton. What's going on, brother?
How's it going? Sorry I'm late, y'all.
No, you're good, bro. So really quick question before we dive in. We really haven't dived in, but we've been diving in for the past 24 minutes. So what was your favorite superhero film this year? And how does this movie line up for you? Because I also said you can factor it in whatever way you want to and break it down the whys. This is full spoiler, so everybody knows whatever you feel, you can bring into it. You can even talk about the other Spider-Man films, why those were better or why they weren't. You can talk about other films like Eternals or Zack Snyder's Justice League, why those were better or why they weren't. So for you, what was No Way Home for you? If you think about all the superhero films that you've seen this year, and then also in comparison to the other, and also comparison to.
Let's see, superhero films I've seen this year. So what do we have? I saw, let's see, Shang-Chi,
Eternals, Black Widow, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a few.
I tell you, honestly, overall, it's definitely in the top two. I don't know if I can put it past Justice League yet, just because of it. Justice League literally gave me everything I wanted it to.
Yes.
But it was a good movie. Spider-Man No Way Home. It was a good movie. I think it gets a lot of extra credit, bonus points for the nostalgia.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of stuff in it that makes no sense to me. But it was a good movie. I liked it a lot. I want to see it again to see if I missed anything. But as far as what it did, I really liked it, but it made me have more questions than answers. Definitely.
So for you, Zack Snyder's Justice League was the best superhero film this year.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I don't think Spider-Man passes it. Like I said, I need to watch Spider-Man again because I watched Justice League like 3 times back to back. That was a crazy movie. And so I definitely need to see it again. But right now, it's right there underneath, just because I was honestly seeing, it wasn't even Holland's Spider-Man, it was seeing the other guys. That's what really made it for me. And honestly, like, this was not a Spider-Man movie. This was a Willem Dafoe movie. Good Lord.
Hey, we're gonna get into all that because that man put some hands on Holland behind. But we'll get into all that. All right, so man, we already got so far already.
Yeah, I was about to say, the fact that you said an hour makes me giggle, but continue.
I'm gonna try, man. I'm trying to stick to these questions, bro.
10 questions in an hour, Sam.
Right.
We're gonna try. We got through 3 questions so far. So I'm proud of y'all. Like, nobody's thrown anything. Nobody's went out of character.
No, I'm
DC. We some DC fanboys when we in a Spider-Man chat with Justice League.
Right. I'm trying to do my best to restrain myself. I think I'm doing pretty well so far.
Flaunt it a little bit more.
All right, so I'm gonna have to
Jor-El, you're doing amazing, Jor-El. You're amazing.
I'm doing my best.
Okay, all right. So pick one thing, anybody, just really quick. One thing about this film that you actually really truly enjoyed.
Oh, I got that. Oh, go ahead, Ant. My bad.
Just one thing, real quick.
Bad, Ant. Go ahead.
I was not the biggest fan of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man run, but I love the fact that they not only moved where his character was further in his own lore, talking about how he got darker, so they continued on the story. But they also gave his character some redemption. When I saw that, I was like, man, they gave all the characters like a little bit of more like oomph in their endings. And I think I talked to the same when I called him. I was like, this is what this movie did to me with Winter first Captain America. Like, the first Captain America movie was like, this is okay. But when the second one came out, it made the first one even better. And I feel like this movie did that for a lot of these movies that didn't end on such a high note. A lot of these characters didn't end on such a high note in their art. So when Andrew Garfield got to go, and even Tom Holland, you got a sense that there was some more story that's going on in his life, that he didn't just stop evolving at that point, and it was believable. But really, because Andrew Garfield to me seemed like he really loved being Spider-Man. Whatever you think about his movies, whatever you think about his story, he seemed like he really loved to be Spider-Man, and he's done some other things now that he didn't have to come back to this. Like, he didn't have to come back to this because it might have been painful for all we know that he didn't get to have the run he wanted to run. But he and when he got his redemption, not only in that character moment, but his betrayal, I don't know. I felt something for him. So that's one of my favorite moments.
I agree. That was so good. I 100% concur.
Yep. Full agreement.
Yeah, I think the thing about with Andrew Garfield, when he was talking to Peter, first off, when he had the breakdown, I'll talk about my favorite moment. My favorite moment was when Peter had just lost Aunt May, and he was breaking down crying alone. Like, he couldn't get around even his friends. He just needed to be alone because I think he was battling with his anger and he just frustration, and he was just breaking down. And so they found him. They went behind him, and then the other two Spider-Men came behind him, was kind of just having a conversation with him. And Andrew Garfield's character kind of broke down the fact that, like, look, you don't need to go down this route because I've seen what this has done to me. I stopped pulling my punches. Now, I don't know if you guys internalize this as he's possibly have killed some people, or went broke the line to killing people, but that's what I took it as. And I was like,
no, he's slaughtered some folks.
When you think about how strong Spider-Man really is, I think the only thing I could think of was when it was the Back in Black comic book. I don't know, some of you comic book heads, let me know. When Aunt May got sniped, right? And like Peter thought it was Kingpin that did it. And he millywhopped everybody in his path. He almost killed Kingpin straight up. And that's what it
broke into prison to beat Kingpin.
Broke into prison, right? Him slapped him in front of everybody else.
Right.
Made him crawl back to his cell and said, "Look, I've been playing nice this whole time. If she dies for any reason,
I'm gonna kill you straight up." And that's literally, from a comic book standpoint, it brought me back to that. And that was just a small, subtle moment. And again, it could be passed off as like, oh, that's a nostalgic moment, connecting back to the main Spider-Verse. But from a comic book standpoint, that's how I internalized the moment. And I was like, everything that's playing out right here feels like a comic book origin story on so many different levels. And it's just so weird because it's like, did we have to go through two different, movies to get here? But it's like, now that he's so well refined, it's just so interesting. And I felt like that was his moment. The moment that you really comprehend and understand that not only that possibly his Uncle Ben didn't die because of his fault, that he might have died from natural causes. And this is the moment that he actually had where Aunt May was that one that delivered that for him. And that meant so much more to the understanding, like, now he's a refined Peter Parker. Now he's actually become like Spider-Man that we know. So for me, that was one of my favorite moments.
I'm itching to say something, but
I think one of the things that I'm sorry, but what you said was important. Like we got our comic book movie. This is a comic book movie. We got Spider-Man fighting Doctor Strange through going through different multiverse. But this is but comic book issues. One of the reasons why they have trouble translating the movies is you can't do the Phoenix Saga in one movie because the Phoenix Saga took issues and storylines to build up. You can't do the Age of Apocalypse in one movie. You can't do the Age of You got to build up. And when you're reading a comic book, every comic book isn't like it's setting stuff up to this. You get these payoffs. And so we had to get two enjoyable movies to get a really good Spider-Man movie. I'm for that. Sorry, I didn't mean to float my flow.
You good, bro. You good.
I find it interesting Ant brings that up, since we did not, even after two movies of two variations of X-Men, we still didn't get a good Phoenix Saga movie. I just want to put that out there. So,
oh Lord.
So, but since I'm here, and it's so funny that Sam put it up there, that moment where Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saves MJ, that was probably my favorite moment. And it was really only because after he saved her, he burst into tears, which tells me he has been thinking about that moment ever since. That moment has plagued him ever since it happened. And like it was said, they give all the Spider-Men in this movie redemption, but that moment right there, where he's finally able to in a way fix his mistake or learn from his mistake and focus on catching the person and not just using the web, and he just stands there crying. That was my moment, because it tells so much with so little.
Yeah,
that
was my moment for me.
All right, so I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit because I kind of have two moments, but I'm gonna make it quick. So I actually have a lot of moments in this movie that I really liked, but the two that stood out to me was right after when Tom's Peter killed Aunt May, or had her killed because of whatever, she died, right? And he was on the roof and he was trying to figure out himself. One of the things that I loved about that scene was when Toby and Andrew, they join him, and you can see like they don't even try to really say too much. they just kind of let him vent because you can see on their faces, especially with Andrew's face and his emotion, like, we've been here. We know exactly how you feel right now. Right. Like, this is something that we can share because we're all like brothers right now. Like, we all understand what's going on, and you can see the hurt in their face. And I think, you know, as great of an actor as Andrew's just phenomenal as an actor, period. Just little things that he can do with his face is, in my opinion, was really good. But just hearing Toby, I saw Toby as like the, you know, I always like to use the Mike Tyson reference because Mike Tyson's a legend. You know, he's older, he's old in the game, he's a legend. I view Toby as like the Mike Tyson of the Spider-Mans, right? Like, he's here, he's been there, he's done the stuff, he's in the ring, he's been in the ring, he already knows what it's like to get busted up. So he's looking at Tom and he's like, man, kid, I understand. I'm with you. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you do what you got to do. So that was just one scene that I liked. But the other scene that I liked on top of that was when, and I know we'll probably get more into it, but when Tom's Peter was beating the absolute mess out of Willem Dafoe on the beach. He was just swanging. He was swanging on him, and he was just going off. What I love so much is the Toby coming in front of him and holding down the glider. Like, don't do it, brother. Like, don't you dare. You're going to have to stab me before you stab him. Don't you do it. And to me,
he knew he was going to get stabbed.
Well, he got stabbed anyway. But, like, I mean, the thing is, he just stood there, and it was, to me, it was the symbolism of the fact that we are not going to let him, what happened to us, happen to him.
Right.
We are not going to let this darkness that consumed us from our regrets and from our bad decisions and our anger and venting happen to this kid. He's young. He does not need to go. He's already been through enough. Right. Let me take the weight off of him for a little bit. And he wasn't even worried about Goblin in the back. He wasn't even worried. His eyes was so focused on Tom. Like, don't you do it. Don't you dare cross that line. So to me, just those two scenes were just really good emotional beats for me, and them all relating to each other in their own unique ways. They were different, but they were very similar in their own ways, and I just love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there was something I was gonna say to what you were saying, Matt, in reference to what was the first thing you were talking about, Matt?
I was talking about the two of them relating and listening to Peter.
Right. So you remember when Peter was talking, it was just a nonchalant conversation, right? And they were like, okay, well, how are we going to take care of this? And he was like, oh, I had been thinking about how to cure Goblin for a long time, right? Yeah. So now this is the thing. We know for a fact Goblin's been dead since day one for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why would he be thinking about a cure? He's held on to the regret of the ramifications of what his act, even though he didn't do it, he still takes full responsibility for it. And he was like, man, how could I have changed this? How could I have cured him? The fact that anybody consciously trying to choose to do that, it's just it's subtle things that make this so refined. And that's the thing, that moments like that happen, just like the moment with Ned talking. It was I don't know which one I don't know which one of y'all talked to about this. When Ned went to Peter, he's like, yeah, you know, he's my best friend over there. You got a best friend? And he was like, yeah, I got a best friend, but he died.
In my arms.
He died in my arms.
In my arms.
After he tried to kill me.
It was very tragic. You know, and that could be taken off as really funny. Because Ned wasn't even funny the rest of the movie. He was the whole rest of the movie. Ned's humor was gone the whole movie. But
I just want to go
if you
home,
really
man.
paid attention to Toby's Peter, he was dead serious. Like, it really is messed with him. He's at this point now. He's got to a point. He's so old. It's like I just own it, and that's the reality of it. You know. But I don't take it for granted. It's my history. You know what I'm saying? And those subtle moments are throughout the film, you know, especially from the second to the third act. But yeah, I just want to comment on that.
No. But my favorite moment, right? Our favorite moment from the film?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to cheat as well. It's definitely is two moments for me. But my two favorite moments from this movie, I guess. Well, so the first one is when Andrew Garfield, when he first steps through the portal and he takes the mask off. I fucking love this moment. Like I hate those Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, but Andrew Garfield I love as a performer.
Right.
Andrew Garfield, at me if you want. I don't give a fuck. But Andrew Garfield is the best actor out of Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland, in my opinion.
Correct.
He's a phenomenal actor.
No debate. No debate.
No debate there.
The amount of emotion that was radiating off him when he stepped through the portal and he took off his mask, and he didn't even really say anything right at first, but just the amount of emotion and just the delivery of his lines, I just thought he absolutely killed it so hard. Despite the fact that I don't care for his past 2 Spider-Man movies, I was like, damn, maybe they should give a nigga another chance. Like he killed it. For some reason, people think that I hate this movie. I don't. I just think it's very flawed. And I think once the sugar high of nostalgia wears off, I think people, or more so, will understand where I'm coming from in the years and months to come. But anyway, that was a huge favorite moment. But my absolute favorite moment. I'm so happy to finally talk about this. Jesus. The moment where they're on the shield by the Statue of Liberty, and it's right after Tobey Maguire's been stabbed. The moment where all 3 of them come in for a group hug, in my opinion, is not only is the best image from this movie, but it's one of the sweetest, one of the coolest, trippiest
this whole
things.
movie been pirated already.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the quickness,
that was going to happen.
I had a lot of prep time, y'all.
That was going to happen.
Dude, sniped by Disney right now. I'm gonna be
on a mission.
Even as someone who thinks that this movie is hilariously more flawed than what people are giving it credit for, that moment is, who did not get goosebumps during that moment? Like, come on.
Oh yeah.
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, it was so much. It was weird because it was a euphoric feeling because it's like this is a moment that may never happen. You know, it's like the epitome of like Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, and I don't know, Robert Pattinson meeting together in a certain movie.
Christian Bale, right? Dang.
Right.
I'm about to say, bro, you throw Christian Bale in there. Pattinson ain't even shown his Batman yet, bro. Don't disrespect the Bale like that.
I only room for one skinny Batman.
I'm like, well, damn.
You should have put in Adam West before you put in Robert Pattinson, bro.
Oh my god. Anyway, I'm just saying that this is maybe a moment that may never happen again in this way. Like they're literally giving each other praise. Because even when Andrew was kind of like to himself, like, yeah, you guys are awesome. You guys are so awesome. Like, no, like Toby's like, no, dude, you're amazing. And I was like, it's so cheesy, but for real, it's so awesome because it's all right for real. Like a lot of people like rag on, like you said, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but Andrew is amazing. I want him to have a better movie. I want him to have from this. Give him something else to do.
Can I say something real quick? That was the reason. I'll just be quick. The reason, like my wife and I was talking about this today. Actually, the reason we didn't really like those 2 movies was because we felt that he didn't have a third one to complete the cycle and to like really solidify his place as Spider-Man within that trilogy. So to see his performance in this made me be like, come on, man, let's just get another one just for him to kind of just. Anyway, I just wanted to say.
Hey, can I just say?
Let me be real with us.
No, go ahead. Sorry. No, I was just gonna say real quick. No offense to Tom Holland Spider-Man, but like, man, he cannot emote like my bad boy Andrew Garfield. That's all I had to say.
All right. Okay, you go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that statement from Toby to Andrew is like the triple entendre of a movie ever. Just telling him twice. First of all, you're telling him he's amazing twice, and he never got to do a third movie.
Right.
Second, what Sam just said. And third, basically, it's one of those things where you can throw Willem Dafoe in any movie and good, bad, or indifferent, he's going to kill it. I think Andrew Garfield killed it in his Spider-Man movies. He just didn't have, the stuff Jor-El was talking about with No Way Home. He didn't have the story, didn't have the context, didn't have the stuff that would make it great, but he himself was great. That was like the triple entendre statement for me of the whole thing.
Look,
Right.
let's be honest. The second movie of his was ruined because they wanted to make a Sinister Six movie,
That's
and
a fact.
and the storyline was choppy as hell. So it wasn't anything to do with him. He can't control that. That's not his department. So he worked with the writing he got. It was never a problem with him. It was just funny that he gets his character redemption, and Sony finally getting their Sinister Six film. So they finally got it.
Right.
Got his thing like that, but no, he was great, and also that hug was for me too. I needed that hug at the end, and I just thought about something that I always compare, like the Luke Skywalker moment of him throwing away the lightsaber and being like, "Emperor, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me," and it doesn't matter about beating you in a fist fight. It's about the moral character, the moral victory, and that balance. When he stabbed Osborn and with the cure, like that's what we do. I was like, dang. That's the first time in a moment that we really get that. We're not about beating the bad guy or destroying the bad guy or whatever. It's about redeeming the villain, the antagonist, and yourself. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie about redemption. This is Tom Holland. This is Spider-Man getting redemption off of, him saying it's not my problem and losing Aunt May. This is, Tobey Maguire getting redemption for Spider-Man 3. This is Andrew Garfield getting redemption for not having an amazing Spider-Man 3. This is literally a redemption movie for everybody, which still leads me to my problem, but I'm sure that's going to be a question Sam's going to bring later in terms of what the problems were. So I'm going to hold off.
That's go ahead.
I just want to say, all I'm going to say is one thing. All of this could have been avoided if Peter just Googled MIT customer service or MIT contact info and give them a call. And this movie would have never happened. Roll credits.
Or Call Pepper Potts. Like that.
Right?
Like, we give millions to this program. Give these kids their
like, can you bribe someone? I'm pretty sure you know somebody, right? Like, you know somebody that owes Tony a favor for something. Like, but they had to make a movie. So but when Doctor Strange was like, man, you're telling me you did not call. I literally said the same thing. I'm like, wait, why did he call? And then he said the same thing right after. And I'm like,
hey, but look,
I got rejected from my grad school. I had to call and harass and go up there and tell a sob story to get in. So
but you're Spider-Man. You got everybody know you.
But does that fall on the high schooler or does that fall on the grown man that used to be the Sorcerer Supreme?
The grown motherfucker.
I mean, that's
grown man.
Saying, like,
reverse.
Before he did anything,
Reverse.
he should have had a whole conversation with this boy about the situation because one. When the trailers, because all right, so this is the thing. What did you dislike? What was the true dislikes about this film?
Oh boy!
And you didn't even let me talk about my favorite scene. Man. All right.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Let him win. Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead.
Skip him.
All right. So I'm gonna be honest. Like everybody talked about, like the dramatic scenes in the movies, and that was great. But if you ask me, the best scene of that movie is when Norman Osborn Dudley bombs Tom Holland Spider-Man through a building. That was the actual best scene of the entire movie.
All right.
He was not ready.
Like, drama aside, like that was great, and the speeches and all of that, like that was good. But he Dudley bombed him through a building.
He said
I feel like none of us are touching on that quite enough, because I could easily spend an hour just breaking down.
I do have a reason for that, but I gotta wait till Sam pulls us into the flaws.
Breaking down that mollywop.
If we're gonna go there, we might as well go there now. So I mean, how do we rank that fight?
Which fight?
Because I've heard some of you guys.
Was it a fight?
Wait, what do you mean? Wait. Which fight?
The green, not the second Green Goblin fight. The first time that Tom Holland got them hands Got a hands thrown at him.
Wait, was it a fight or we just gonna call it Willem Dafoe eating those?
Whatever you want to call it. What do we rank that fight? Because some of y'all have said like that's one of the best.
Look,
The
only person in the MCU I've seen get hands put on worse than that was Loki versus Hulk in the first
Wait.
I
You
was
talking
gonna
about
say
when Tom
Thanos
Holland
versus
was
Hulk,
fighting?
but go ahead.
You talking about when Tom Holland was teeing off on Green Goblin?
I don't know if he was teeing off.
No, what you watch?
Wait, what are you talking about? At the on the Shield, Statue of Liberty when Tom.
No. Talking about in the apartment.
Oh, okay. Well, that was
when the Green Goblin was like, "Y'all lucky I'm not in this universe."
Well, that was
Green Goblin was like, "Y'all lucky I'm not in the MCU."
he took the mask off like Kane.
Yeah,
but that wasn't a fight. He just dropped off some bombs real quick. You know, he did a terrorist attack. I don't
know what you're talking about. We're talking about him fighting in the actual apartment.
Did you fall asleep? Is that why you don't like this movie? Did you fall asleep a couple times?
Like they had a full on. He threw him through multiple different floors.
Yeah.
Like they were fighting through the entire building.
He straight up put him on his shoulders and like.
There's a one time he was punching him in the face. This man was smiling and laughing. I was like, that's the iconic moment.
I'm like, this about to be
right.
Willem Dafoe.
I started this villain stuff. I started this.
Oh, okay. It wasn't really that much of a fight sequence to me, but yeah, I understand what you mean.
I don't know what your standards are. I don't know what your standards are.
But dude, at the end of Spider-Man 2002, when it was fucking Toby versus fucking Goblin in that little field with like those brick walls, that was more of a fight, in my opinion.
I disagree.
This is a real fight. This is
right here. This is a street fight.
It just solidified that the best Spider-Man villain
is Green Goblin.
Very first movie. Like
he took the crown. He's like, in case you forgot. I started this.
Like
the Detox album, and we weren't even prepared for it.
Right, the end of the first Spider-Man movie, Toby got a bomb thrown at him on ambush. And he just got, beat down.
He got worked. They had to work each other.
But when
Green Goblin rocked his ass, and then.
But when we talk about this man was throwing him through different floors of buildings and just continued to pummel him. Like this was an actual fight.
So
I was scared for him.
Right.
The point that I didn't look. To be fair, I did not. To be honest, I did not think that they would do that in the MCU tied in movie because they're afraid to really do a lot of that gritty stuff, which is why I'm a little bit afraid for spoilers for Hawkeye with stuff coming up with Kingpin and Daredevil. It's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
I'm rewatching Daredevil right now, so it's like I'm a little concerned.
Yeah.
But when he was beating the mess out of him, when Goblin was going crazy on him and he was smiling, I'm like, okay, some kids are gonna be kind of scared of this guy. I'm like, they're doing the good job because I used to be scared of Green Goblin when I was a kid when I saw the first movie. But can I just say one thing? Yes, he did not care. He was like an anime villain. He was like, I don't care that you're 10 years old. Like,
kind of always
he don't care. Like, straight up, he was a straight up anime villain. Not care.
Damn. Don't do that again. Don't zoom in that fast. That dude is scary.
Yeah, can I just say, Willem is awesome. Willem as the Green Goblin is awesome.
What reminded me that this guy was the Ish was when he just let everybody know. Like when at the end, I think that's what solidified the fact that this guy is not going anywhere. Like he's here. Was when he left his bomb in the magic box, and I'm like, well, that's it. Like it's done. Like we thought it was the dude. They thought they got him, and then next the bomb's in there. That's like his signature thing. Like that's the thing that he does. And yeah, man, he was going crazy in this movie. He definitely solidified his himself within this universe as like the best villain.
That scene, when Holland's Spidey sense is going off and he's trying to figure out where it's coming from. He goes downstairs and he's looking at all of the villains trying to figure it out.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that was so real.
Look, I love looking at his ring camera at all these bandits walking through the door. Happy on looking at his ring app, like what the heck?
And again, I feel the first Spider-Man, I was like, man, they took out spider sense. It's kind of like they took away the Hulk getting mad stronger as he get madder or angrier. They never took away spider sense. I feel foolish because they just gave that evolution as the character went on for spider sense.
Look, let's remember.
They take it away when they need to, like right before Tobey Maguire gets stabbed. It's like, oh, no,
Right.
it's not a thing.
Right,
anymore.
exactly. Like we literally watched this dude use his spidey sense to determine that it was the Green Goblin in the room and not Willem Dafoe. We literally watched Spider-Man get astral projected out of his body, and his spider sense was still avoiding Doctor Strange. You mean to tell me Tobey Maguire didn't see that stab coming, bro?
See, I like to think he did see it coming.
I think yeah.
All three of them should have felt it.
I think he. I was gonna say that. I think that he did notice that the stab was coming, but he stood there to prove a point. It doesn't matter if I die. It doesn't matter if I get stabbed. Like I can.
It's more important stopping you from killing him.
Exactly. I think he knew it's a stab. Like I mean,
he said
I've been stabbed.
Yeah.
I do wonder if they tested out audiences of killing him. I wonder if they tested out audiences to see what would happen.
They did that. That would have been like when they first killed Optimus Prime. It would have been a tragedy.
Yeah.
So there is some truth to that. And so I was talking with Lucas. Lucas read the Reddit. Any of you guys that did read the Reddit, it was word for word the exact same. The movie was all online a year and a half ago before. And so what was a part in the Reddit that said either Toby is going to die or he's going to survive the wound. So I think that they did play with that possibility. Now, if they would have killed him, I don't know if that would have helped or if that would have just crushed some kids. I really don't know. They did play with that idea.
Because I kept thinking that I know I said this. I kept thinking Mayday Parker was going to show up at one point. Like Toby. To me, it seemed like in the film that him and Mary Jane started a family or they're together, and that his life had progressed. And I kept thinking that they might kill him if they introduce, my daughter is now the Spider-Man of that universe. I don't know. That's just what was going through my head. I don't know how we got on this, but
dislikes. What did you not like about this film and why?
Okay. I gotta jump in on this one because this is what plagues me all the time with these Spider-Man movies. Is
it Marvel movies or Spider-Man movies?
The MCU Spider-Man movies. Actually, no, all Spider-Man movies really. It's this whole Sony deal for the rights to Spider-Man and every time I watch a Spider-Man movie, especially the MCU Spider-Man movies, it always feels by the end of it like, okay, Sony's going to take their basketball now and go home because Marvel has done all this work to hype up Spider-Man and now we can milk off it. We don't need him anymore. And that's kind of how this feels. And that's my problem. My problem is let the people have what they want. The truth of the matter is Sony cannot produce, in my mind, a fully epic Spider-Man without some association with Marvel. You also cannot have the Marvel couldn't do it. Marvel honestly couldn't do it without Sony. Sony can't do it without Marvel. And at the end of it all, that's my biggest issue. Because now this feels like if Sony wants, they could walk away. They can do what they want to do and not use Marvel, which I also think is what Andrew Garfield suffered from. Because I feel like they just put the movie together to fulfill a contract commitment so they could keep the film rights to Spider-Man.
No, respect.
So to piggyback off of that, that's one of my dislikes. So I would have to see the movie again. I know I'm going to have more when I see it again, but I'm still going off of opening night hype and just emotions and all of that. But to piggyback off of that, what he was saying was, I sort of felt a sense of like, okay, I'm happy where this is going. Okay, cool. Yes, I'm loving this. Fine. Okay, we're gonna have some ties to the MCU, but he's gonna go off and do his own thing. We're cool with it. I'm cool. But then it hit me that like this dude, they erased his memory. Well, they erased everyone's memory of him as Peter Parker.
Right.
So now he has no MCU connections to anyone, not to Happy, not to Pepper, not to anyone. So
that's what, oh my God,
they can completely do the new trilogy and not even mention the MCU at all, because at that point, technically, canonically, it wouldn't matter because no one knows him, right? No one knows who he is. No one knows what's going on. So it does scare. And then what even scares me even more was when I saw the end credit scene when Tom Hardy's Venom disappeared, and I was like, well, there you go. There's the answer to this entire thing. They're going to do a whole new thing. They're not going to try to bring, because it had me questioning, like, okay, is Venom in the MCU now, or is he not? Like, is he here? Is he not? Are they still going to go forward with this or not? So I think it just made me a little disappointed knowing that at any point, like what LT was saying, like they can just be like, we out. Like, we're going to go do this whole trilogy. We did our thing. No one knows him. No MCU. The Avengers don't know him anymore. Doctor Strange, nobody knows him. There's no room for Spidey on the new Avengers or the young Avengers if they go that route now. With that, he's going to go off and do his own thing. And I want him to do his own thing as a young adult, but, you know, they kind of have this thing.
So I know Keaton's about to go next, but one thing I want to interject with that, Peter Parker doesn't exist in their minds, but Spider-Man still did all those things. And I know Keaton's about to go into something that we had a deep discussion about, because technically the other Avengers know that Spider-Man was there and it helped and did this or that. So that means that whenever they come up with, I think the next movie is going to be Secret Wars. I think honestly that's what it's going to be. They can call upon Spider-Man to help, but they don't have any recollection of Peter Parker. So either one, he can go and continue on and say, my name is Ben Reilly. Or he could just say from ground up, like, well, yeah, I'm Peter Parker. That's my name. And don't worry about anything else. Like, I'm going to be here as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But I'm just saying that Peter Parker still he doesn't exist at all, but Spider-Man does. So all the things that Spider-Man has done, his connection to what he helped and accomplished with Infinity War and Endgame is still there. But I don't know what that actually means.
And I did think of that, but sorry, Keaton. I did think of that as well after I came out the movie. But like I said, it's like they have the option. They don't have one pistol now with one bullet. They have not only a pistol with more than one bullet, they have two fully loaded pistols, right? That they can just be like, we can either go this route, or we can just say, nope, we're out of here. We're gonna go and do our Sony Spider-Verse and do our thing. So now it just leaves me at a limbo, like, what is Sony going to do? So sorry, Keaton, but yeah, that's that. Yeah.
So that very last part, the spell that he casts, where it's like, oh, people will know about Spider-Man, but no one will know about Peter Parker. It was super contrived and it's super dumb. Like, it's so dumb. And like, the more I think about it, the dumber it is, because it makes no sense. Peter Parker and Spider-Man, the same person. But what messes that whole thing up is the fact that, one, they let you know at the beginning there wasn't any time travel taking place. So it's not like they went back in time and this didn't happen. No, they're saying that Spider-Man still exists. Everything Spider-Man did still happened. But nobody knows about Peter Parker. So it makes no sense, because if you look at like the second movie, they're saying, oh, Tony Stark died and willed his glasses to ? And the entire plot of the movie is ? And at the end, he's like, everyone, Spider-Man is ? Like, and everything on this, like, so someone is just looking at an MP4 on their computer right now, and they're like, who is this guy? Like, it makes no sense the way they did that. Is he not in any of the yearbooks anymore? Like, he still went to high school with these people. The way that they handled that, it just made it super confusing. And honestly, it took a lot away. Like, honestly, the movie was perfect to me until that, because it felt insanely contrived, and it was like they were like, all right, now we got to end the movie, roll credits, hurry up, oh, throw that Venom scene in there. Like, the way that they explained it, or lack thereof, really took a lot away, because the whole point of this trilogy so far, to me, the whole point of Tom Holland Spider-Man is how much they exist as the same person. I mean, hell, he took Vulture's daughter to prom. Like, it makes no sense for them to be like, oh yeah, question mark took her to prom, and then question mark was discovered by Vulture, and then Vulture fought Spider-Man. That makes no sense. Like, none of it makes any sense. And then at the very end, it's not like they changed that reality. All he did was he was like, all right, no one knows about Peter Parker. So now he's just out here with no social security number, renting apartments with no money. Like
that's the part that wasn't real for me.
actually being a New Yorker, that stuff happens. So that part was reliable.
It just,
he must be with a slumlord. He must be with a slumlord.
Even if they had said, even if he said, I'm going to erase everyone's memory of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, it would have made more sense than no one knows about Peter Parker. Everybody knows about Spider-Man. Nothing changed. Who saved that woman on the bridge then?
Right. So, go ahead.
No, so I was going to say, like, this magic is a very. I'm not a big fan of a loose magic system. I like magic systems with rules and limitations and things like that, and ways you have to get this stuff. So right off the bat, the minute that you have a spell, at first you just thought affected people's memories, but now you realize it affected reality. That's almost as nonsensical as Tony having orbital weapon systems throughout all this time. They didn't use them and give it to a kid. Right. It was kind of so. Yeah, there is no argument for that. I think at the end, I think that they had where they wanted to get to this movie. They wanted him to be erased. That was the stakes of everything. And then how they did it was not the best. So that's the one part of the movie that had me just kind of go, I just gotta go, a wizard did it. A wizard did it. I don't like the ramifications. I don't like the world building. Doctor Strange can solve a lot of problems, especially if he's been using this spell to erase what they did at freaky parties. Like there's a lot. Yeah. Hey, I want Thanos to forget the Infinity Stone exists on Earth. I want. Like there's a lot of things you can do with that spell that would solve a lot of problems, and that was only.
And I thought the exact same thing, and so I felt like when they were like, "Oh, let's do this spell," I was like, was the writer just high? And he was like, he asked his 8-year-old, "How should I do this?"
Yeah.
So I like Spider-Man, so keep him and make Peter go away. And he's like, he hits the blunt, and he's like, "That's it. I'm gonna do it."
What really pissed me off about this is that it doesn't really change anything, because if Marvel wants to use Spider-Man in the future, they still gotta go to Sony. I would actually hazard a guess that this is what Sony wanted, and they contracted it down because this only benefits Sony. Sony can go off and do their own thing now with Peter Parker and Spider-Man because no one remembers Peter Parker in the MCU. They know Spider-Man is there, but they don't have to pull him anymore. They can just do their whole Sony Spider thing. But if Marvel needs Spider-Man to come back in the MCU, they still got to go to Sony because it's all about, because Sony got the film. Right. Sony got the filmmaking rights for Spider-Man.
But then now, if you try to look if that makes sense, right? Even if they have to go and ask for Spider-Man, and you now ask the question, when we have Spider-Man in this movie, can he only be Spider-Man and he can never we just not speak, not be Peter at all? Just Spider-Man in the mask for like a cameo or something, and then he's gone. So
that's what I was.
It scares me.
Worried about when I called. I called Sam. I was like, did they just write him out of the MCU? Did they just write him out? Are we not going to get Are we not going to get closer to this?
Can I go real quick about my dislikes?
Hold on, let me finish off on this real quick, because I feel like that decision was a contract decision. Honestly, like I feel like this is like Marvel's like, okay, for us to possibly continue this road, then this is what we'll do. We cannot have Spider-Man completely be removed, but we will allow this from a stake standpoint to work, because technically, manageably, magic is malleable. they can easily say that somebody makes contact with him, like say MJ makes contact with him, and he tells her. Does that break the spell? We have absolutely no idea, because the reality of it is, it was said from Strange that everybody would forget that Peter, like that he was Spider-Man. So how did this become a multiverse situation?
Not just Spider-Man.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now I was gonna say, did it affect everybody? Did Wanda get affected by this, or did she go, wait, no, I'm not getting affected by this reality? If she rewrites reality, does that reset the spell? Like
that's what I'm trying to say, is that this is to play face right now. I don't think that this is where this is going to concretely go, because I know that Tom Holland honestly could end up in Spider-Verse 2 as a voice actor. We don't know. We don't know where this is actually going to go. So I think that this was a contract deal. I think it was really sloppy. But I'm not that worried, because at the end of the day, both of these companies want to make money, and they know for a fact they're going to have to work and merge together. And they also know that Spider-Verse is huge. The fact that Kevin Feige even brought up, because I forget who asked, like, is Miles Morales in existence right now? Is he still alive? Did he survive the blip? And Kevin Feige spoke up and said, well, yeah, he's got his movies coming up. Spider-Verse 2 is about to come up. And I was like, why would Kevin even bring up Spider-Verse at all? So I'm saying that they still are negotiating where this is going to go, and they're playing the odds.
But we knew that was going to be the case, because they had Childish Gambino play his uncle. He mentions Miles. He mentions Miles. Matter of fact, in the post-credit scene, he tells Miles, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna make it." Like
Jamie Foxx just said, "I'm sure there's a Black Spider-Man out there somewhere in the movie." Look, Spider-Man just saved the box office. He's doing numbers, pre-COVID numbers. like this ain't Dune, and I love Dune. This ain't Dune. This ain't none of this stuff.
That joint hit 50 mil the first night.
I have not seen Thursday night. Theater. Right. I have not seen a packed, not even packed, the parking lots of where I went to see the movie at. Most of the parking lots were filled. They weren't shopping that time of night.
No, 110%.
So I wanna get Jor-El to his next part. The only thing that I was gonna say to answer Keaton, you guys have seen this anime with me. You guys know exactly where I'm going with this. Gleipnir, there is a character in this. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hadn't seen it. But they were fundamentally, their mind was messed up, and a person was just erased from their memory. And it's just like what Keaton was saying. It's like a hollow point there, where the person was changed effectively forever because of this. And that seems like that's what happened to MJ. That's what happened to Ned. But it was like it's just like a dark space there. And you guys remember this, and I think that that's probably the best way that I can kind of describe possibly what happened to them. But anyway, yeah, that's
before we go with Jor-El, I actually think you're both right. I think for the people that are closest to Spider-Man, closest to Peter Parker, if he was to reveal himself, it would break the spell. I think for other folks that were not close to him, they're gonna hear him say, "Oh yeah," like in Civil War when he said, "Yeah, my name's Spider-Man, and I've been, my name's Peter Parker, and I've been Spider-Man for like the last 8 years." And somebody's gonna look and be like, "Yo, whose man's is this?" Because remember, at the end of the day, even though she doesn't remember him, she still wore the broken Black Dahlia necklace, when he went to go get coffee, so just I think the spell would be broken with them, but for everybody else, it's, yo, whose man's is this? I don't know this dude. Okay, who is this cat?
One other question I wanted to ask y'all: how did y'all feel about them turning J. Jonah Jameson into Alex?
Oh wait, can I go, please? Can I go? Really?
I was about to say
I didn't get a chance to go.
I'm sorry.
Jor-El wants to talk about his negatives, everybody. So here we go.
Okay, so starting with the we can actually start with the Jonah Jameson thing. First off, I hated that, how in Game of Thrones, the more you went on, Tyrion wasn't like the Tyrion that we all loved anymore. He wasn't witty anymore. He wasn't funny anymore. That is exactly what happened with Jonah Jameson in this movie. For some reason, somebody was just like, "Hey, why don't we just make him Alex Jones? That'll work, right?" And it's like, no. The Jonah Jameson from back in the day, this dude had so many meme-worthy moments, so many great one-liners. He was so funny. All that shit was missing. The whole memory wipe thing is one of the stupidest things I've seen so far in the MCU. Even when the spell was first being perpetrated, Tom Holland, he's like, "Oh, everyone's gonna forget me," and Doctor Strange is like, "Yeah," and like Tom Holland could barely even think of a list of ways that this could dramatically impact his life. This is just like, bro, MJ forgot you. Bitch, go to the coffee shop for about 16 weeks straight. I'm sure you got her again. Oh, you want to be friends with Ned again? Go hang out with this nigga outside of school for a few months. I'm pretty sure you got it. Oh, I want to be with the Avengers again. You're Spider-Man. Go web around. They'll probably be like, this kid's kind of neat. Maybe we should recruit him. Don't know who he is, but people are making this memory wipe thing way, way, way too big of a deal. Way, way overrated. That's like this big consequence. Like, it'd be one thing if like the people that he loved just disappeared from reality and never came back or some shit. Then
wait, you mean the end isn't a consequence? You mean the end isn't a consequence? Like a permanent HBO leftover situation. If something like that happened, then I can understand why he's freaking out. You know what I'm saying? But this memory wipe thing, it ain't even that serious. Another flaw.
I disagree. I disagree.
Just let me finish, okay? Please, goodness. Another huge flaw that I have was that Ned, Aunt May, MJ, Flash, etc. These are hilariously underdeveloped characters. So when they try to have these tear-jerking emotional sequences with them, they just don't work. Like when Aunt May died. Like, I'm so sorry. And yes, Tom Holland is great at crying, but like Aunt May is in the MCU, Aunt May is not some great character. Right? She's literally just known for being hot. Okay. She doesn't have some great monologue sequences. She doesn't have these huge motivational, inspirational moments like in the Tobey Maguire movies. She ain't got none of that, fam. These are really weak, empty characters.
Wait, hold on, real quick, Jor-Els.
I gotta start writing this down. Hold on.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best to speed through my flaws. I'm almost done, but
no. I just really got a question about Aunt May. So you're talking about before this movie, she didn't have any development, or in this movie, she didn't have any development? I'm
saying the Marissa Tomei, Mary or Aunt May character is excruciatingly weak.
In this movie?
In any Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home.
No, I'm talking about. Okay. You said okay.
Yeah,
I'm just making sure.
In the trilogy, I think she is a unbelievably weak character. It's almost as if like just like outside of being hot, and her being hot is acknowledged a lot, like through Happy. Like she really doesn't do anything for me. Like Zendaya's MJ, somebody was saying like, well, Kirsten Dunst's character sucks in comparison to Zendaya. It's like, what are you talking about? At least with Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane, at least we could be like, she was this working class girl. She was trying to get out of poverty. She was trying to escape her shitty parents. Person. She was trying to pursue a whole career. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, literally. Jay Watson was a thought.
And but my thing is like Zendaya's character. The only noteworthy thing about her is the Zendaya aspect. It's almost like, to me, people are confusing their love for Zendaya for Zendaya's MJ being this great character, which I just don't think is the case. Is there anything else? The CGI.
Hold on. Before we go any further,
go ahead.
I got a real question. So, the first two movies, did you like them or did you not like them?
Like who?
The first two movies, the first two movies of this trilogy, because it sounds like in general, like you felt like they were weak to begin with.
Correct.
And there was no
correct.
The reason why I'm asking you that is because I feel like no matter what route they would have done in this movie, it still wouldn't have been enough because
I can't say that. I can only go off what they gave me.
So okay, what as far as the other characters, Ned, Aunt May, and MJ. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like in one movie they could have been well-rounded, or they should have did the homework the past two movies? I feel like I don't think even if they would have did like the best sculpting of them as characters in this one movie, I don't think it would have been sustainable for you. That's why I'm asking you, but it might be wrong. I might be wrong.
I mean, could they have done something to make me feel some type of way for these characters in a third movie? They could have, but they didn't. Unfortunately, I just think that they're really weak characters. Was there anything else I want to say real quick? Oh yeah, the CGI swings from being decent and really weak for some reason. I just wish they would just render things better. The fact that there's some shots from like a Spider-Man movie from like 19 years ago that's better than what we're seeing here is just odd. I just wish there was more dynamic shots and framing, like the Dr. Octopus fight sequences in Spider-Man 2 compared to this. Like, come on. It was way better than Spider-Man 2.
But I mean, that's the thing. That's what I'm getting to. Like the first two Spider-Man movies, in terms of just Peter's suit, I don't like that it looks completely all CG. That's always been the thing that I don't like. But that, in general, that's been the trilogy. Like As far as this one, out of the three, this looks the best out of the three, in my opinion. Like all the costumes, all the CG, like the first two in terms of visuals. It was so heavy on CG, it didn't look real most of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas this one finally, it kind of complements.
There's just a plasticky, like weird artifice to the CGI in these movies. Oh my God, that's another thing that bothers me about the John Watts Spider-Man movies. Even in the Andrew Garfield movies, they got this right. There's no emphasis on the web slinging. The web swinging is supposed to be like awe-inspiring. It's supposed to like give you goosebumps and be like, oh, I wish I could do that. There's like nothing like that in the John Watts Spider-Man movies. I think we're probably at the end of my my little flaw rant. But it just I just think it's just a grossly overrated movie. I'm sorry.
Okay. So we talk about the Doc Ock sequence. I think what you're really seeing is some practical effects, plus also a whole movie's built around these two characters, right? So you have one character that's built around making this character work through a whole movie versus Doc Ock doesn't have a lot of scenes in this movie. He doesn't have a lot of action scenes where they're going through. So the whole movie isn't built around him. Sure. Where if you go, what's a more interesting fight than Doc Ock fight Spider-Man 2, which again, Spider-Man 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time for a very long time. Yeah. Versus the Doctor Strange movie, with Doctor Strange Peter Parker fight, which I don't think he could have done 20 years ago. Like, so I think that I think you're focused on these one aspects of where you guys say the whole movie put together, you have like 15 amazing different scenes versus Spider-Man 2, where the whole movie, the whole budget, or not the whole budget, but a lot of the budget was gone to like making this one character work. And I think that you're kind of judging that a little too harshly.
I don't think so. Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus have a full-on fight in No Way Home, a full-on fight sequence. Yeah. But
hold on, but their fight was nowhere the point. I would also say this: if you think that Aunt May is a two-dimensional character and is only hot, I think you missed some things, right? And even if you still believe that, it's not what Aunt May is a two-dimensional character; it's what Aunt May represents to Peter Parker. So Peter Parker is an orphan. Peter Parker. We assume it has lost Uncle Ben or something because we saw Uncle Ben's suitcase in the last movie, I think. Sure. And this has been his connection. And they've made it, Peter Parker looks to Aunt May for his grounding. And I don't know if you've ever worked with kids that have lost people or hasn't been, or even attachment theory. Sure. Peter Parker is safe because there is an Aunt May. As long as you keep Aunt May safe. Of course. And then when you took that security away, that's a big thing. So even if and I don't believe it, because if you look how May's responded to certain things, you can tell she's had trauma in her life too. Sure. But even if you discount all of that, it's not about what Aunt May, who she is as a character, it's what she means as a character to Peter for that scene. I think that you kind of, your lens is focused on a different angle than the angle that makes it more relevant.
No, I mean, it's great that she means a lot to him, and it's great that, she affects him. But the Aunt May, for example, from the Tobey Maguire movie, she was a great character, and she had momentous moments with just her. And she meant a lot to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the same way as here. But she had more to do. She was more meaningful in the past.
So I'm sorry, I gotta walk this down a little bit. So When it comes to the whole Aunt May having no development, I agree with Ant. I think one is the fact that of how I think there was development for Aunt May, how she went from being this this really hot person that everyone seems to want to get at, that she doesn't notice, but still being Peter's grounding, to her developing, getting the donations, her and Peter working together, Spider-Man, to get the donations to do Feast and everything else, to her actually being at Feast, helping people and telling him that he needs to help these people regardless of who they are, which leads to the whole great power, great responsibility. I think there's development there. When it comes to forgetting Peter Parker, I also disagree, because it's not that, because it started with people forgetting that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but now it's forgetting Peter Parker, because when we saw him bring that box in and he had the GED book in his thing, he literally lost everything. There's literally no record of him at this point, because it's not just forgetting that he's Spider-Man. It's literally forgetting him altogether.
Yeah, the loneliness.
Hold on. I think that's major, and I also think that leads into the whole CGI swing thing. Let's remember, Far From Home and Homecoming did not have an epic swing at the end of the movies, because Peter Parker really didn't become Spider-Man. He is Spider-Man, but he didn't go through anything. What did we see at the end of this one, when he lost everything and he chose to make that sacrifice and walk it alone, being Spider-Man? We saw him sewing up a new suit, because now all the Tony Stark stuff is gone. It no longer works, which is why we saw there was no connection to the Stark Network. And we see him with the OG Amazing Spider-Man outfit swinging through. That was his moment. That was the end of Spider-Man 1, go get him Tiger when he swings out. Spider-Man 2, that was the end of Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 1, when Garfield is swinging through the little alley, and then he flips at the screen, and then he's swinging the sewer thing at Rhino and those are the epic. That's his moment. That's his I'm becoming Spider-Man, because Spider-Man, like Sam said, didn't have that moment. He didn't have that life lesson, that sacrifice, because he thought about himself. He was selfish, And I gotta also say, I don't think I'm caught, at least I can speak for myself, I'm not caught up in the whole thing about Zendaya. I just like the fact that it's a different type of MJ. I like the fact that it's not, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan of Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane, because she was basically a thought. She was playing off.
I'm not saying she was.
Hang on. I think she was a thought. I think she was playing off Harry and Peter. And honestly, I honestly didn't like her. I honestly didn't like her character. I like Kirsten Dunst. She's done some great stuff, but the character wasn't really feeling. So I like how Zendaya's character is just different. I thought, she was funny, but I also think the development from where she was being this goth alone chick who has exceptional sarcasm and realism, like when she called out the coach in detention, all the way up to the fact that she made sure he didn't tell her that he loves her. Like, I'm waiting for you. You can tell me that when you break the spell and come back. Like, that for me was awesome. That's just my piece on it.
All right, so just for time, we're gonna cut it short. Jor-Els, did you have any more dislikes that you wanted to go into? Because we're gonna go into
I just wanted to say real quick is that with the Aunt May thing, the last thing I would say towards that is that if you took all the scenes with the Tobey Maguire's Aunt May, and then you took all the scenes with the Marissa Tomei Aunt May, and you played them side to side, to say that there would be a embarrassing difference, in my opinion, would be staggering. There's so much more quality with the past character. There's something more passionate, more lovable, more authentic, more moving. It's just ridiculous, Lord.
So that it speaks to you is great. It speaks to you is great, but I think that also something that we should look at is that all these movies build on each other. Like all these, that Aunt May still exists. But their Uncle Ben, but you look at Uncle Ben versus this Aunt May, and this Aunt May is his Uncle Ben, right? So it's just all those movies exist. All those other movies, all those other Aunt Mays, they exist. But for his reality, this is what she represents. This is where his moral code comes from. She played a whole different role. That other Aunt May played a whole different role in his life.
Sure. Yeah.
But this one was that.
And the only other thing I was going to say was that oh God, what was it? It was a good point too. I think it was about if it comes back to me, I'll say it. I think I lost it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So next thing I wanted to go over here is when you think about like all the Spider-Men being in this film, did it work for you or not? Because some people have said just them being together in a film was an event moment for them. This is something they never thought would even be possible. And just to have it happen on a live action format brought the movie already up to a high ranking for them. And I was just curious for you guys, did it work? Was it not just nostalgic? Was it something that you felt was special? And I mean, some of you guys have said it's not. Some of you guys have said it's everything to you. Because the reason why I say that is because some people won't admit that the only reason why everybody wanted to see this film, it won't because this is the third Tom Holland film. It's just like, honestly, when you think about Captain America, like Winter Soldier was great. But the fact of Civil War being like almost like an Avengers level event kind of thing, I feel like that's the same thing with this. And I feel like everybody was like, yo, the prospect of the fact that Tobey Maguire's villains in this leads to the possibility that Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield could be in this. I gotta see if it happens. And I'm just curious from you guys' perspective, your take on that perspective going into this film, and did it actually work for you?
I think it did. Honestly, I think it worked very well. I honestly wish it was more of the focus. I felt like they brought him in too late. Like the movie went on for a while before we got that payoff. And like, I thought they interacted so well that I was kind of upset at how little of it we actually got. So I thought they worked really, really well together, especially as like with Toby's kind of older, cool Uncle Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's obviously got like a lot of PTSD, right?
Toby doing the youth pastor.
Seriously, the way that they just bounced off each other and like kind of helped each other, I thought it worked extremely well. Like I said, my only drawback is just it honestly felt kind of rushed. It's like, hey, look, they're here and now they're fighting and now we're done. It just, I don't know, it went really quick, but I really wanted to see more of their interactions because I was really liking what I was seeing.
And just a real quick question, Keaton, was that the reason why you went to see the movie?
100%. Absolutely. Like, honestly, like they did a good job. Like, actually, even though we all knew they were going to be in it by the end of it because people do way too much research like that. But it was one of those things like I had to see it with my own eyes. And the reason I went to see it was because like, oh, snap, we're going to get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back. Like, that's why I went to see it. Like, if they had not been in us, all right, whatever, another Spider-Man movie. Like,
So to answer that question, it worked for me. I mean, when the first question you asked us, what was our expectations? Like, that was it. Like, I wanted to see Toby, I wanted to see Andrew, and I wanted to see Tom all on the screen at the same time in some capacity doing something. I just wanted to see that. And I mean, from the time we saw Lizard get punched by like some type of air jutsu, right? Like somebody doing some like Avatar Last Airbender stuff on Lizard. By the time we saw that, I'm like, okay, we already know what's going on. So it's no way they can hide it at this point. So I think the crowd I'm glad I actually saw this movie not at a critic screening, but I saw it at a fan screening, because there are some other critic screenings that I've been to that I'm the only one that was hype, and everybody else is all the other critics are like, this movie was the one where everyone, the minute Ned opened up that portal,
Sure.
and the theater got quiet, all you could hear around me was, wait,
Right.
is that him? Is that him? Is that him? No way. And then we turned around, he started running through. Literally everyone was clapping and they stood up, and there was a thunderous applause, and this leaked photo, man. Anyway, yeah, this thunderous
John freaking
Campia, man. Oh,
Sorry.
my
Fucking
Lord.
John. Damn it, John. Damn it.
Did he leak that photo?
Yeah, he was the one. He was the
Daredevil,
one.
bro.
He was the
Yeah,
one.
he spoiled it. He
He was
spoiled
the
it.
one.
John.
Campia spoiled it. Yep.
Man, I'm looking at these comments.
Yeah.
Enrico is pressed.
But,
Good Lord, it's all right, dude.
I can't even. Yeah, I'm glad I don't even have the comments up because I'd be triggered.
Right, same.
I'd have been triggered, man. But like, y'all don't be like, every time I see a comment that like slightly triggers me, I'm not hesitant. I will respond. But
Same.
but anyways,
That makes your
the
blood
point
pressure
is,
go up.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man.
No, the point is, yeah. the point is, with everybody in the theater and the environment that I was in made me appreciate what was happening with the three of them on screen. Right. Anything that happened, any interaction that happened between the three of them, people were laughing, they were cheering, they were clapping along. I'll never like when this reminds me. There's only a couple instances that I remember in my brain. I'll never forget. Endgame crowd, Black Panther crowd, and this crowd, and then I think it was one of the Dark Knight movies that I've seen, that crowd as well. So when everyone was just unanimous in how much they loved it, and when all three of them jumped off of the scaffold and they were screaming and they were like woo, and they were swinging, and then they went into their little Black Widow pose, everybody was just applause. And I could feel the chills and everybody high-fiving each other. You know, it's Omicron going on, COVID going on, but people running across. There was literally people crossing the front of the aisle to clap other guys that they don't know and hugging each other. So there was so many like actual Spider-Man fanboys that were there, and people who was waiting for such a long time to see something like this happen. And like one of you guys mentioned, like just witnessing it with your own eyes to make sure, you know, just to solidify it in your history that I've experienced this. I over-explained, but it worked, and it worked really well. And going with a fan, big fan audience, I think also really helped everything. So everybody was like, man, freak this variant we see in this together. So that's pretty much what happened. But
the Spider-Man thing, I feel like that should be the one thing that we can all unanimously say is that them being together totally works. I mean, like that was just nothing but awesomeness. Again, when Andrew Garfield stepped out of that portal, I almost felt like a sense of like, oh man, like seeing an old good buddy again who got treated badly.
Yeah. It felt good, man. It felt really good.
What's going on with this proportion on Toby in that picture, though? What's going on with that shoulder and in his head?
Look, I know what? I didn't do that Photoshop. That ain't me. That's not my work.
No, I think the Spider-Man aspects totally worked. If anything, there wasn't enough of them, and it almost felt abrupt when they left at the end. At the end, I was like, these niggas got to come back, right? Like right. Clearly, Toby has to show them how they can get some web blood inside of them, and they can shoot webs out of the wrist, right? Right? Like Andrew Garfield, he's got to have some kind of upcoming Disney Plus series or something like that, right? Right? Please. I
mean, look, I'm gonna say this: if they keep playing around with this movie, and all of them Jokers might get something out of this. If they want it, I mean, I think that out of everybody, I really would love. Everybody on Twitter have been rallying behind Andrew deserves a third movie. Andrew deserves something. Andrew deserves, even if he doesn't get a third movie, put him in a Spider-Verse scenario where he is the person that's the overseer. Like he's the person that's helping Miles get to the point where he needs to go. Like everybody's been rallying behind the possibility of that. So for me, I mean, I think that all of it worked. In terms of
Andrew needs a third movie, man.
He does, if he does it and they just continue him a different route,
let's go.
Like He to me is
He just needs to come back.
the perfect Peter and Spider-Man. Like everything about him, like I really truly actually love.
Look, you know what would solve all of this for me? I just need Disney and Marvel to put some money together and just buy this character back from Sony, because they're Sony killing me with this whole contractual BS, man. It's like you can get an absolutely great Spider-Man, but Sony just got to come in there and say, hey, you better set this up so we can do our thing. So let's just wipe Peter Parker out of there.
I don't,
like it's just lame at this point, man. I mean, they done got everything. They even went and got Fox to get the X-Men. I am happily sitting watching 90s X-Men that I grew up on Disney Plus right now.
And it's coming back too.
Right. And it's coming back. But I can't go on Disney Plus right now and stream Far From Home or Homecoming because of Sony BS. That's what's killing me right now, man.
See,
that's killing me right now.
I'm surprised Sony doesn't have a Sony Plus.
It's on Disney. Disney's greedy.
Sony don't have a Sony Plus yet. I'm surprised by that.
Because they're smart, because they're working with Netflix. They don't have to have a Sony Plus. They got a contractual agreement with Netflix.
These ninjas got PlayStation. They all right.
Yeah, exactly. They're the only ones that have FU money to Disney.
Exactly.
Disney can pay them for Spider-Man, but Disney's greedy. That's what it is.
That's really what it is.
That's really what it is.
So going into this is one of the questions, talking about the previous Spider-Man films and previous Spider-Man trilogies. When you think about this trilogy, did you really actually care? I know Jor-Els has given us a spiel about his perspective on this as a whole, as a trilogy. But do you think that, because I've heard some people say this, I think Ant maybe have said this in certain respects, do you feel like this movie complemented or added to the other previous Sony trilogies and adding volume to the characters, giving the characters more perspective?
I'll start to answer that one real quick. As a whole, as a trilogy, so you're asking about our feelings of the trilogy. Does it work? Or
so the first question was, how do you feel about the trilogy? Does it work? But then the other side of that is, do you feel like this movie complements not only this trilogy but the others?
Okay. Well? So I'll answer the second question first. Yes, I think that's one of the main reasons why as of right now, it's my number 3 on my Letterboxd ranking and my number 1 for the Spider-Man movies as a whole as of right now, because it does a good job combining all the things we loved about those 2 other franchises and like kind of bringing them in and adding little bits and pieces to explain certain things with those characters, like specifically with Toby and Andrew's Peter, and us wanting more, just having everything just lead to this point. I think it does a good job at having all of that into one movie. So that's just my answer on that. But as far as a trilogy, I have a very love-hate thing with this Tom Holland trilogy, because I think Tom Holland is a perfect blend of teenage Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I think Tobey Maguire is a great Peter Parker, but an okay Spider-Man, to be honest, even though he is his trilogy is my favorite trilogy. Just full transparency. And I think Andrew is a fantastic Spider-Man. I think he's the best one out of the 3 when it comes to Spider-Man, and like the web slinging and him just like making fun of those villains in the fun way, him being in the car in the first movie, him being in that car, but no, where you going, come back, just him being Spider-Man was really great. But him as Peter Parker is too awkward for me. I don't like him as Peter Parker. That's just my opinion. So as far as Tom's trilogy, it has its moments where Homecoming was really good, and then it was also veering off at certain parts. And then Far From Home, I rewatched it again, like a live thing a couple days ago, and I'm watching it. I'm like, man, like I'm not really a fan of this movie. It feels like a Mysterio movie. Like this is the Mysterio movie. Like this is not really like I was like, I'm not feeling it. And then this one, obviously, and I feel like if Toby and Andrew weren't in this movie, I would not. I don't know where it would have gone. So this trilogy as a whole is my least favorite of the other 2. So that's my thoughts on that.
Keep in mind that Andrew Garfield doesn't have a trilogy.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. I say trilogy just to kind of put everything in one statement.
Yeah.
But his movies. because The Amazing Spider-Man, I loved it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I don't care what anybody says. Even though it's, I'm not gonna rant, but even though it's comic book accurate, when Gwen,
it hurt his heart, y'all.
It hurt me so bad. Like when I was young, I was a little younger when that movie came out. I legit was depressed for weeks because I think I actually cried. Look, I'm a Cancer. I'm sensitive. I cry sometimes. So I cried. Like I cried over it, and I'm like, I don't like this because I'm a guy. I love love, and I love all that mushy stuff. So to me, when he lost his girl, I was like, man, like. I don't want that. Like, that would suck. That would suck a lot. And I understand that it can work from a narrative point of view. It can work, and it's good for character building and all that. But we never got to see that payoff where he got to redeem himself from this, which is why I loved No Way Home. He's got a sort of got a chance to redeem himself from that. But like, we just ended the movie. Didn't get a third one. This man's heart is broke. He lost everything. He lost his girl, everything. Like he got nothing. He's messed up. And then he just swings the sewer cap at a really horrible rhino, and then that's it. So to me, I was just mad. I was just mad, and I've never. You see, you gonna show me that? That's kind of messed up, bro.
That's
like, that's mad ugly, bro. Like, every time I rewatch The Amazing Spider-Man, I'll never forget. Like Hans Zimmer slapped on the score. Like he's going crazy. I'm like, yes, I'm loving this.
Oh yeah,
fight
that
with
score
Electro.
was dope.
Man, I'm like, man, he hated me. He lied to me. I'm like, yo, pop off, Hans, pop off. And then next thing you know, he's going off the fight with Electro. And then next thing you know, the snap neck. And I'm like, that's it. Movie's ruined for me. To me, and I see your face, but to me as a teenager, watching this movie had a long-lasting effect on me, a guy that appreciates love and relationships. To see that, it messed me up. I'm just being full train. I don't care what y'all say. I'm gonna keep it 100.
No,
Oh, good.
Like,
Nothing wrong.
that messed me the hell up. And I've never, as much as I love the web slinging, he has some of the best. I said it. I made a tweet today saying, I'm going on too long, Sam, stop me. But the web slinging, the web swinging in this movie, in those movies, is the best of all. So
best costume and best web slinging.
So the thing is with all these Spider-Mans, and I'll stop here, is that there's different things from each of those trilogies that I loved over the other. Growing up, working in New York, living in New York, stuff like that. I love Tobey Spider-Man for the New York representation and all that stuff. It felt like in New York, certain locations I've been to some of those places, so I was able to see it. So, but yeah, I'm gonna stop there. So it's just a little bit of everything from each set of the movie.
Well, the funny thing that you say about with the Gwen thing is, as crazy as this is gonna sound, the Gwen sequence was my favorite thing that happened in the Andrew Garfield movies, because it was the only
you're
time.
Basically a villain, is what you're telling me.
No, it was the only time. It was the only time I felt something. It was the only time they did something that I thought genuinely was moving.
I get it.
Like they actually
Sam,
got
you're
to
being
me.
real foul right now, bro.
And narratively, I understand why a lot of people liked it. I get it. Like I get it, but. I get it, but like freak that. Like I don't like no. Like,
it's dark.
You know what I'm saying? Like
no, it's dark.
Anyways, I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna let y'all go, man.
Look,
I will say that it strengthened. It strengthened Andrew Garfield's character so much. No Way Home, like literally, No Way Home made me think. Like, listen, yes, Andrew Garfield's Peter was pretty whack. Yes, I did not like those movies, but yet, damn it, he is spectacular Spider-Man. And in all honesty, the Peter Parker aspect that could be fixed with some good writing and proper direction. So
yeah, that wasn't Andrew's fault.
Yeah, it made me really think. Like, damn, maybe Andrew. Like, no offense to Tom Holland, but considering that Tom Holland's gonna look like he's fucking 15 for the next 25 years, I would almost want Tom Holland to step down and let Andrew Garfield become the adult Spider-Man. Like, I loved him in this movie. I loved Andrew in this movie.
Which one of y'all I had that conversation with? Was it you, Matt, that I was like, look, they gonna mess around?
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit.
Andrew should be the person. I don't know.
Yes.
I said it before the movie even came out, Jor-Els. I was like, no disrespect to Tom.
Yeah, no disrespect.
But bro, I love Andrew as Spider-Man, dude.
Right.
Like, willing to do it.
Tom is really good. Tom is really good.
He is.
So it's just
Sony got their heads out their backsides and actually put some good work into the Garfield series, we would have had an amazing Spider-Man trilogy. Truth of the matter is, we don't. When it comes to the trilogies, we don't have a decent trilogy in any of them because Tobey Maguire's trilogy to me don't exist because Spider-Man 3 was trash.
Oh,
like
you're right.
it was like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man shouldn't have had a trilogy. Garfield's should have had a trilogy, and this particular one, Tom Holland basically served the purpose of, Sony trying to fix all the stuff they messed with the other two. I'll simply say this in terms of trilogy. I like Tom Holland's trilogy, but in my mind, I have to look at it all as an origin story. It's an origin story for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Yes, he already had the powers. Yes, he's already doing the Spider-Man thing, but I don't think he really becomes Spider-Man even with the Infinity War, even with the End Game, even with all that stuff. Even with Civil War, all of that doesn't really he doesn't really become Spider-Man until No Way Home. And I think the only way we can truly even appreciate Tom Holland becoming, or this Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man, he literally had to have two other epic Spider-Men in the movie to truly become Spider-Man. He had to go through hey, this ain't my problem. He had to get the great power, great responsibility. And because he's so young, isn't it fitting that he's got these two other experienced Spider-Men to give him emotional support to go through to become the Spider-Man worthy of being Spider-Man? As an origin story, I like it. As trilogies overall, Sony just messed it all up. They should have left Tobey Maguire with two Spider-Mans, given Andrew Garfield three Spider-Mans, and this is their somewhat, I don't accept it, but it's their somewhat apology for jacking all that up. I don't accept the apology, but at least I give them an E for effort on No Way Home. But I still liked No Way Home. I still think it's a great movie. I appreciate the trilogy as Marvel basically said, look, this is a origin story. This is all an origin. All the stuff that Tom Holland's Peter Parker's been through is all part of his origin story. We've now wiped the slate clean, and now we're going to give you Spider-Man as Spider-Man, and I'm good with it. But in terms of a trilogy, Sony doesn't have a good trilogy at all. So they have nothing.
So real quick, because I know that some of you guys are having to dip off, so I want to ask Matt, because I think he's going to leave first. Matt, I'm going to ask you 3 specific questions because I know you got to leave.
I can go a bit. I know Ann had something to say, so I'm cool. I'm cool for a little bit. Sure? Yeah, I'm cool for a little bit. Yeah, I'm cool for a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So this is my thoughts. I think now there's AD and BC. I think now we have this movie. It's going to be like Spider-Man movies before this and after this. I think that this movie, when you look at the other trilogy, I love Spider-Man. I think Homecoming was a great movie. I liked it for an MC movie. I enjoyed it. I was going through it. Far From Home, I love the Mysterio fight. I never thought I'd get to see that on screen. But altogether, it was a weaker movie. It was the weakest movie as you're going forward. Spider-Man 3 was trash because Sony got involved with to make the director do characters he didn't want to do.
Right.
Spider-Man 2 was trash because besides the Gwen Stacy scene, I know what you're saying, but because I feel you, but besides that scene, the rest of the movie was kind of trash because they messed up the story because they wanted to do Sinister Six.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think that this movie here, and I know what you're saying that he had two other mentor Spider-Man come in who at different ages because you had Toby who's more mature. And so he's the big brother. Then you got the middle brother.
Toby, baby.
Yeah, right. And, he was kind of rough at first. He got right back into that soft, subtle way he talked in original Spider-Man. And then you had Tom Holland, who we have seen grow. Like he's the first Spider-Man we've actually seen be a baby until he gets to a man. If that makes sense. Like and I think you got to appreciate. that. And I hopefully this is the first 3 franchises of Volume 1 and we got a volume 2 coming where we can see him in the next leg of his journey, and we can appreciate these even more. So I would say that I like that now. I consider all these Spider-Man movies in the same timeline in a way, if that makes sense. Because you justify them all. I actually think. Oh, what was it? I actually think that Jor-Els' comments about this movie fit better for Far From Home than they do for this movie. So I give you a lot of
interesting. Yeah. I do find Far From Home very flawed.
I just like to point out that all the issues Ant said boil down to one thing: Sony. All the stuff that messed up because of Sony. Yeah, Sony just need to give up the bag and let Disney be greedy, take it, and we can get some good Spider-Man.
Yeah, let them be great.
That's all. That's all I'm saying. Let them be great.
Right. And Tom Holland's put in work in this. You can see his growth from his acting from the first one to this one. Tom Holland's put in work.
But I think Tom Holland's good. I think he's already expressed verbatim, and Tom Holland, he's tried walking back these comments recently, which makes me laugh. But Tom Holland has expressed like verbatim that he's getting a little burnt out. So I would be curious if they'd be so bold as to be like, Andrew, will you take the mantle once again? As the adult.
Tom just said he wants to get married and has a family.
Said that today. I'm trying to lock his deal down.
Let's be Tom Holland has verbally manifested everything he has dealt with. His first crush, Zendaya. He told an interviewer he would like to be Spider-Man in about 10 years. And he said one of his favorite games is this game called Uncharted. Tom Holland is a beast. He has verbally manifested everything in his life. I don't care if he gets burnt out. He asked for that. He literally spoke that into existence. Do the job, Tommy. That's all I'm saying. Do the job, bro. And Sony let it go. Disney, and I agree with you, Keaton. Disney is greedy. Disney done picked up Marvel, Star Wars, Fox, Nat Geo. Yeah, they're being greedy, but you know what? I would much rather Spider-Man be under a greedy company that has the original OGs that made it than be under a group that just continue to make these movies so they can hold on to film rights, which is why Amazing 2 was as bad as it was, which is why Spider-Man 3 was as bad as it was, because it's Sony. Sony makes great PlayStations, great cameras, great appliances, great products. But when it comes to these Spider-Man movies, you're trash, fam. Let that joint go, because you needed to have the OG original creators, Marvel, come in and help you to save crap. And then you tried to throw in Venom under there, and then do something stupid like send them back and leave a little bit of goop. Hell wrong with y'all, man.
They can buy the Lamborghini though. Because
getting on my nerves with that mess, boy. Sony, let it go.
No, you getting on.
Let it go.
Look, all right. Look at it this way: if somebody that couldn't drive owned a Lamborghini, and we knew a really good driver, and we wanted that guy to drive it, and he could afford to buy that car. He could afford to buy that car from the horrible driver, but he's like, I don't want to pay that much money for it. This is on Disney. It's not. I understand that, like, we don't like the Sony movies, but to say that Sony is to blame for this whole shebang, no. Disney's greedy. They're so greedy.
Yeah. So
they're so greedy, and so like
Disney had nothing to do with Tobey Maguire series. Disney had nothing to do with Andrew Garfield series.
But what I'm saying is,
Sony trashed that on his own.
What I'm saying is, right now, if Disney wanted Spider-Man, they could get him. If they wanted Spider-Man and they wanted to continue, they could get him. They could get him. They could pay for it. It could be a done deal. None of this would be a thing, because Disney has that kind of money. Disney could probably pay for Spider-Man in 1 month of Disney Plus subscription.
I think Disney won't do it because of COVID and how they've been hit with COVID. If they were still getting that amusement park money, if they were still getting those people in the theaters money. If they didn't have to take that hit where all they were really getting was the streaming service money, I think they would have done it. I mean, they done everything else. They bought Fox and got the X-Men. They bought everybody from Marvel back. But I think that's also why they screwed Scarlett Johansson, because they knew that streaming service money, they wasn't even trying to give her streaming service money, fam. I think if they were if they were doing a full court press like they used to with the amusement parks, the movies, bringing stuff out of the vault for a limited time to scam people, even the Disney cruises and all that stuff, they'd have had no problem. Yo, say the word. These fools bought Star Wars from George Lucas. So how, the simple fact that they bought it, I was glad when they took it from George Lucas, because he messed around and gave us the Phantom Menace. I was like, fam, this ain't yours no more, bro. You need new people, right? But I think because of the hit they took with COVID, they wasn't gonna buy it like that. I also think, and this is just my opinion, Sony knows that they want it. So Sony was gonna make sure they get every little bit of dollar they can out of Disney. And I think if Disney wasn't in the state it was in at the time, although they still in a better state than most, Disney would have coughed it up and been like, look, you want that? Okay, cool. And the truth of the matter is, any driver that can drive a Lamborghini ain't gonna buy the Lamborghini that somebody else is driving. No, they're gonna buy their own Lamborghini, and they gonna drive past the fool doing the crappy driving with the Lamborghini, and like, maybe you should have bought some driving lessons as they took off. They're not gonna sit there and do that. The thing is, the problem is that Disney can't do that. They could easily, if they could go buy or make another Spider-Man, they could do it. But it's Spider-Man. You know what your man tell you? They you know, you got people saying that they made Hove. Well, okay, go ahead, make another Hove. You can't make another Spider-Man, B. That's what the problem is right now. I think Disney, if they could do it, I think Disney would do it in a heartbeat if they had all that extra money coming in, that throwaway money. Disney's built up a lot, but I think Disney took a real serious hit with they got money, but I think they could buy Spider-Man. I just don't think they want to take that hit, because I don't think the money's coming like it was before. Although, you know, COVID, you know, folks are starting to go back to certain stuff, and they might be getting something in Florida, because people in Florida don't care. They going to Disney and all that, maskless and all that anyway. But I think if it was pre-COVID, they could have done it easily, no problem. I would agree with you. During and in COVID, nah.
Yeah, real quick, just so we can kind of round this out. Because I can make the whole Sony conversation a whole different video, because I have a completely different perspective on the whole thing. But I'm not going to start this here because we don't have the time. I want you guys to give me your ranking, like from, you know, I mean, you can even add Spider-Verse into this, from Spider-Man films from beginning to end. What's your ranking? Then the second question is, when you think about the financial impact of No Way Home and what it's doing right now to the movie industry, what are your thoughts on it financially? And then the last question is, I'll leave that for what's next for Spider-Man. And those are the three last two questions. I just know we need to get to those, because we're just going to keep ranting.
So I'll start first with the question about the financial impact. I'm not gonna go too deep. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. I'll just say that we're getting, like, you know, during, you know, post COVID, during COVID, we're getting pre-COVID numbers during a time where we got a new Transformer virus going around. We got a bunch of crazy stuff going on. So we're getting some really big numbers for this. So I'm thinking that it's gonna put a lot of pressure on a lot of movies going forward, especially with Morbius. I hope people don't put as much, especially Sony doesn't put as much pressure on that film, because we're looking at what we got in this movie with the Amazing Spider-Man villains. We got Toby villains and them as well in the movie. Those, and like we talked about earlier, that's the real reason that everyone came out. I mean, Shang-Chi didn't do those numbers, but it did pretty decent. The Eternals was basically empty in the theaters when I went. Even though I like the Eternals, but people showed up for Spider-Man No Way Home because of what we've been talking about this entire stream. So obviously that would affect the numbers. So I'm not gonna go too deep into that. That's just how I'm just seeing it from a basic point of view. But my ranking, I actually made a ranking on Letterboxd. So I had number 12. I had Let Venom Let There Be Carnage. I had Venom right after that. Number 9, I put The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I said reasons why. Number 8, I put Far From Home. Number 7 was Homecoming. Number 6 was The Amazing Spider-Man. Y'all gonna hate me for this one, but number 5 was Spider-Man 3. I love that movie.
Okay.
Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was number 4. Spider-Man
Whoa.
2. Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. Spider-Man 2 was number 3. And Spider-Man 1 was number 2. Now let me explain those. Obviously, No Way Home I have is number 1 as of right now. For right now.
Wow.
The only reason why the Raimi films are 2 and 3, and I tell people this, it's simply nostalgia and the memories that I have with those movies. Those are the first comic book movies I ever seen in my life. And I remember the way it made me feel. I wanted Spider-Man everything. I got my first Spider-Man comic book, Spider-Man this. I was a child when these movies came out. So it had such a strong impact on me as a kid. So I know a lot of people have a lot of issues with it, and I can see why, and I understand them now as an adult. But they will forever still be on my top because every time I watch those movies, I literally like get tears to my eyes, and it reminds me of the time because I'm from Grenada, so being in the Caribbean, we got to see a lot of leftover movies at the time. We just had to get whatever what Americans saw. We saw it like 6 months to like a year later. So for us, it was new, and it was like okay, cool. As a kid, a little island boy, being a little Caribbean kid, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this is great. I'm sitting in my chair, loving it. I want to swing. You don't got no skyscrapers, but I want to swing on something. And so it's just all of those memories that I had to me, which is why I have those at the top. So that's just a short answer of my ranking.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, a ranking. I think as far as a ranking goes, for me, Into the Spideyverse would be number 1. Number 2 would be Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi. Number 3 would be Spider-Man 2002. And then in 4th place would be probably No Way Home would be there. And the rest just sort of trickle down from there. I'm not sure. I mean, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the worst one for me. So,
yep.
Yeah, you can kind of imagine how the list goes from there. But that's essentially what my ranking would look like.
Okay, and then what about your thought prospects on the financial side of?
Like No Way Home.
Like, I mean, well, you can go and dive or whatever you want to, because I mean, you can say this is helping the movie industry. This is a line that can be furthered. You also gave me your thought process when you thought about like other films and how they're going to be looked. Then it's going to be skipped over. Whatever way you want to go down it.
I'm going to be a little bit light on this. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I need to do more research into this question. I don't know that I have a definitive answer to this question. I mean, innately, it's a little bit awkward that there does seem to be an aspect that like these Spider-Man No Way Home level movies, they do seem to be sucking the oxygen out of the room for smaller films like, say, Nightmare Alley. That's been a big topic on Twitter. But I don't know. I don't have a definitive answer on that question at the current time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, who's next? Keaton? You can go from 1 to... You can go 1 down.
All right. Number 1 for me is probably Into the Spider-Verse. That movie was just another level. For Into the Spider-Verse is 1. I think 2 would be Raimi, Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi is my second one. God, this is difficult. Going all the way through. The Venom movies are somewhere near the bottom. Spider-Man 3 is at the very bottom. And yeah, I think the next tier are the Holland ones, and then I hate putting the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movies so low, because Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man. Like, I can straight up say that, like, Andrew Garfield is my favorite Peter Parker, he's my favorite Spider-Man, but those movies were just rough, and he carried it just as much as Spider-Man could, but even Spider-Man isn't that strong. Like, it just yeah. So yeah, No Way Home's probably in the top 5, I guess. Yeah.
So that's like your number 4, roughly?
Yeah, probably. Just because they brought back the story for me, the spell part just took me out of it a bit, and so it dropped my score quite a bit, but it got bonus points for all the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ant, go.
So I would start off with Into the Spider-Verse and everybody else. That's just pretty much like the perfect Spider-Man movie at this point. Spider-Man 2. After I got the theaters for No Way Home, I thought Spider-Man 2 was going to take his spot, was going to take him for No Way Home, but I watched it again when I got home, so it still takes that one. No Way Home is a strong 3 for me. I just enjoyed it immensely. Homecoming is 4 for me. I think Tom Holland is my Spider-Man now. I think I've been a Tobey fan for a long time. I still am. Still appreciate it, but I think Holland's got that perfect mixture. Got a better mixture. So I think 4 is Homecoming, 5 would be Spider-Man 1, 6 would be Amazing Spider-Man, 7 would be Far From Home, 8 would be Spider-Man 3, and 9 would be Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man, they're both offensive to me, so they can both switch up.
What was your number 2? What was your number 2 again?
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, okay.
All right, what about you?
But the other...
Whoa. Okay.
No, I was going to say, but I know I said that Tom Holland's my new one. Spider-Man 2 was the first real comic book movie that I saw. You know what I mean? Like this is a comic book I just read.
Right.
So that's why it's still there, but I know it's my list. Holland's Spider-Man just were at the top. So, it is what it is. Thanks.
What was your take on the financial side of this and just how much money it actually made? The fact that this is the number 2 of all time. That's the weird thing about this. And nobody's really addressed it, but I'm curious if you're going to have a take on it, because we're in a pandemic. And this joint made the second highest opening of all time. And imagine if we weren't in a pandemic. I was just curious your perspective.
So this is what I think. We're talking about did they could buy Spider-Man. I think that might have been true like around the time they bought Star Wars a little bit before. But Spider-Man prints money. And Spider-Man is in since the 60s, I think, there's always been Spider-Man on the television in some form or fashion. There's always been a song or something like that. It's ingrained. Spider-Man and Superman and Batman is where you go anywhere in the world, those characters are known at this point. People who don't even care about comic book movies will go see a Spider-Man movie. This is nothing new. And I think that this is a testament to how valuable that character is. That during the pandemic, it rejuvenated the in-person movie industry. I think that the only way for Disney to buy Spider-Man back at this point would be for Sony to fail in every other aspect of its businesses.
Yeah,
in my opinion, because like I said, we used to say that Batman can print money. If you say Batman, you make a Batman film, you're getting money. I would say that Spider-Man trumps Batman's ability to generate film revenue. Would be my take on it.
Wow, no, that's real. Respect. LT, ranking and financial thoughts.
All right, I'm gonna do the ranking from the bottom up, and I'm just dealing with the 2 trilogies and the sequel series. And the anime. Number 9 for me is Spider-Man 3. Trash, garbage, basura. Throw it out the door. We're good. Number 8 for me is Far From Home. like Jor-El, there were a lot of issues with Far From Home that were flawed, but it was much better than Spider-Man 3. So I'm good with that. So number 7 is Amazing Spider-Man 2, and number 6 is Amazing Spider-Man. I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. They just didn't build a good Spider-Man world around him, and they denied him a third one to kind of at least try to save themselves or give this man some redemption. So they're there. 5 for me is Homecoming. I did like the concept of how they brought in, how they picked up off of Civil War and brought Tom Holland Spider-Man in there for me. Number 4, of course, is No Way Home. Now giving Tom Holland Spider-Man an origin story. So I like how they kind of topped up all the other 2 movies and also brought in the other franchises. Number 3 for me is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Epic movie. No complaints about it. The only reason it's third is because the other 2 movies basically introduced us into the possibility of Spider-Man in a real life sense and gave us our true, for me, a true epic means of Spider-Man in a real life setting, or a universe. So number 2 is Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and number 1, which will always be number 1 for me, is Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. From a financial aspect, I think the guys have already said it. Spider-Man prints money. Because Spider-Man is, you've got your Superman, true alien. You got your Batman, physically fit. He's rich. Spider-Man is the first superhero that everybody could truly feel that they could be a Spider-Man. Like anybody that gets randomly bit by a spider that has a moral code could be Spider-Man. That's why there's the whole moniker of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Spider-Man is for the people. That's the issue. Spider-Man can, Spider-Man, somebody tells Spider-Man do a flip, he'll do a flip if it make you happy. This dude webbed up a train to save people, and this is the only cat I've seen where people threw things at Goblin over the bridge, like New York City rallied around Spider-Man. You trying to go after this dude? He trying to save a bus of kids. Like you don't see people doing that with other superheroes.
You mess with all of us.
Right. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. That's why Spider-Man prints money. That's why Spider-Man will always be that top tier hero. Everybody talks about the Superman and the original dude, and he's OP. But the truth is, the best superhero we got, save Chadwick, rest his soul, Black Panther, who gave it for the people. Outside of him, it's Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's for everybody. Spider-Man is your everyday guy who just had a chance to become an everyday superhero. He's the dude that turned away the Iron Spider. He's the dude that had problems. He's the one that was trying to be a hero to the city and still try to find a ways to eat and sell photos to the Daily Bugle and get bashed by a real J. Jonah Jameson. Not the way they took this dude's character and made him, some internet dude. The original, kid and play fade Jonah Jameson that said, I'll make him infamous. He got to take all that hell while he's saving and try to sell these photos to make some money. That's what real people deal with. That's why Spider-Man prints money. That's why Spider-Man will always be the top tier superhero. He is every man. He is Spider-Man, and I'm out.
He's that nigga. And he's truly a black man.
He's the cat you find at 125th and Lenox, and then down in the financial district. Saving people.
Sweating like TD Jakes. He is gassed up. Oh my God.
Look, don't worry about Peoples Hernandez. Spider-Man is the people's dog. The 5 boroughs, 1 love. That's Spider-Man.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. I don't know.
Spider-Man is the Wu-Tang hero, yo. He's for the kids.
Is that enough said?
I should let LT end off on that, because I feel like no matter what I say, it's not gonna. It's not gonna.
Enough said.
On that.
That's all she.
Oh yeah.
Go get him, Tiger. Go say the streets, bro.
Mary Jane for the streets, dog. No.
Yo,
Salute
Yeah, when
to
I
the
drop my
OG.
mixtape, it's all gonna be LT. LT
Hell
commercials
yeah.
all day long when I drop that mixtape.
Preaching, this nigga is preaching about Spider-Man.
He's
Yo,
out here, woman,
Spider-Man,
dog,
yo,
loose.
Spider-Man is the people.
Spider-Man, like
Spider-Man is the people. Who else you seen in the movie where people like, yo, you mess with one of us, you mess
You
with
mess with
all of us.
all
That's
of
how we
us.
do it in New York, baby.
Dude, that was
You
the
mess
most.
with one, you mess with all. Five
Even Jamie
boroughs,
Foxx thought
one
he was
city,
black.
one loves. All G Spider-Man all
Let's-
day.
let's not pretend that Spider-Man could handle Gotham City. Okay, that's another subject for a different.
Oh
Yeah,
my
this is
god.
for
It's
another
built
day.
different. It's built different. But we
Okay.
have-
You drop Spider-Man anywhere, he making the people better. You gonna
he
drop
getting
him
hit
in
with Joker
Metropolis.
gas, so that's a
he-
wrap. That's
You
what's
drop him
happening.
in Metropolis, they gonna love him over Superman. You drop him in Gotham City.
Whoa.
Spider-Man is the
So-
only dude that would be welcomed on Themyscira, bro, because he's
Whoa.
for the people. He's for the people, dog.
Whoa. Whoa, my
going
He's
nigga.
for the
big.
people, dog, all day.
Okay,
My
so
nigga
all right, LT,
Wow.
calm down. Calm
Wow.
Turn up.
All right, so-
My favorite
Turn-
superhero, boy, Spider-Man all day.
So
5
Look.
bars, 1 city, 1 little.
let me close this out with the very last question. Because I feel like even if I did my rank, it's not even gonna matter at this point. So this is the last question. What happens next? Who's next? What does the multiverse mean? I already told you guys my perspective that I don't think that this is the end of Marvel's play with Spider-Man, even if it's not Tom Holland Spider-Man. Say hypothetically speaking, they take Andrew Garfield and put him in place as new Spider-Man. I don't know, but the reality is that they're definitely setting out some things moving forward. The fact that I think that Madam Web is being potentially casted. They haven't said in what role, but it brings me back to the old animated series. In the animated series, one of the things that I can't remember which one of you guys I talked to about this. One of the things I loved about that was Spider-Man got put into a situation with the Beyonder and Madam Web, and he went into the Secret Wars. I think that the most amazing thing that Avengers could be in is in a Secret War situation where by that time we will have a Fantastic Four. We will have all the other characters that could make a Secret Wars actually happen on a live action scale. And I think that would be amazing if they could do that. But then after that moment, Peter got pushed into a situation where he was going through the Clone Saga. He was going through different variations, iterations of Spider-Man. And so right now we have a Spider-Verse situation. And I feel like they're building to a Spider-Verse that's going to be on a live action scale. And I don't know what they're going to do with Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield or any other Spider-Man, if it's going to be Miles moving forward. But I'm curious y'all's perspective on what's next for Spider-Man. What are they going to do? And take the ego out, take your worry about Sony. What do you think? And what do you want to be next for Spider-Man on a live action scale?
I'll just say this real quick. I want a Miles story. Side by side. So what I would like to see, honestly speaking, like you said, taking out all the opinions about the whole Sony thing and the fair, I would love to see a more mature Tom Holland Spider-Man, which we started to get towards the end of the movie, which was great. We saw that with the fit change when he had on the that blazer, he had on that not the suit, just his normal clothes.
Yeah.
His normal clothes, that to me, just that he went from just wearing like the normal comic tees, the stuff that he wears. He's wearing grown man clothes. So he put that on, and then we saw the OG suit, the OG Spider-Man suit. To me, that's showing that he's becoming more of a serious, more mature Spider-Man and Peter. So what I would like to see is throughout this trilogy, not only do they've continued to develop his character as a more adult Spider-Man in this new world that he's in, this new foreign situation for him, but also the introduction of Miles. I would love to see a more mature, Peter Parker, like what we had in the Spider-Man game on PS4, on PS5 now. But we have that kind of relationship that they had in the game and in the story, and even in Into the Spider-Verse, when we seen that he was a much more older Peter. But I would like to see that where we get Miles. Jimmy Fox's Electro obviously hinted at it even further, that we're going to get that. I would just like to see that type of mentorship of him, not only becoming a better hero, a better man, but him now getting ready to pass the torch on to this kid who's now going to be the next him. So I would genuinely love to see that. That's just what I would want to see in the next Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah, because I mean, the add-on to that, the reason why I asked that question is because the what was I gonna say about Morbius was supposed to come out before Into the Spider-Verse, and if you look on the trailer for Morbius, they showed a Spider-Man and it showed on the symbol murderer, and it didn't show anything that Tom Holland had been outed as Spider-Man. It just showed that Spider-Man was a murderer, that he effectively killed Mysterio. So we don't know what universe Morbius is in, nor do we know where Craven is in. So I'm curious where that's gonna go. You guys can take that wherever you want to, but who's next?
Right, I'll go next because I gotta go.
Go ahead, Keaton.
I gotta go to bed. I gotta work tomorrow. What I would like to see right now, after seeing this movie, I want an Andrew Garfield movie that picks up the moment he gets back from seeing from this movie. Like, that's what I would like to see. Will it happen? Absolutely not. I never get what I want. That's what I really would like to see, like the effects that this has.
Violin.
I would like to see the effects that this whole thing had on Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and then him getting back and taking some of the advice that he got and seeing how he moves forward. That would be fun for me.
All right, I know I gotta grow, so I'm a piggyback, and I'm gonna do Keaton one better, okay? But I'm gonna also say, so if whatever they do next, Sony better not BS for the MCU and make sure Spider-Man comes back in. That aside, I'm gonna do Keaton one better.
Before you go, do we need to collect an offering?
No, good. This is love of my superhero love. This is my love of Spider-Man. Love is free. Love is of God. I give the love of Spider-Man for free. Now, if y'all want to donate, I can put the Cash App in there. You know, it's all love. But you know that's all free. But I'm gonna do Keaton one better because I like what Keaton said, but I'm gonna do you one better. I definitely want to see a world built around, especially where Andrew Garfield just comes back from that. But I definitely want to see a Spider-Verse, a live action Spider-Verse. You know, you got your Miles Morales, you got your Tony Maguire come back, you got your Tom Holland come back, you got your Andrew Garfield come back. But what I want to really see in this Spider-Verse, I want to see Andrew Garfield go through an emotional struggle in a Spider-Verse where Emma Stone comes back as Spider-Gwen. And I leave it there for you.
Wow.
I'm out.
Yes. Yes. Somebody finally brought it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ty.
Give it to the people. Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen. Fam. I want to see his emotional struggle with that.
No, I don't want to see his emotional struggle with that.
Listen,
his emotional struggle with that.
I'll do you one better.
I want to see when Spider-Gwen comes up and she takes the hood off and the mask and it's Emma Stone. I want to see his reaction.
Just say you want to see the world burn.
All the smoke.
Just say you want to see the world burn. It's not a long sentence.
No.
Hey, listen. You might as well say it was Alfred talking about. You might as well say that it was Alfred talking about me in the Dark Knight. I just want to see the world burn. I just want to see Andrew Garfield Spider-Man go through that shock and awe when the hood comes off and the white spider thing comes off and you see Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen. That's what I want to see.
Listen, I'll do you one better. Cool. I'll do you one better. This is what I want. Am I gonna get it? Probably hilariously not. But what I want is I want these three, the Andrew Garfield, Tom Maguire, Tom Holland. I want the three of them to come back again. I want them to give Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man the send-off that we did not get from Spider-Man 3. I want Andrew Garfield to get the proper send-off that we did not receive from his Spider-Man movies. I want a good Tom Holland movie, but I would love to see Tom Holland Spider-Man pass the torch to Miles Morales. I would love to see the animated Spider-Verse movies conclude with Miles Morales becoming live action, and he is the future Spider-Man.
Right.
A black man.
Right, because Sony ain't got the rights to Spider-Man Miles Morales, right?
Yeah, it does.
Or they do. Oh, they do. All right,
Don't they got the rights to all Spider-Man?
right?
All the
Yeah,
Spider-Man stuff?
they're in the same. They're still in the same boat.
If they, I'm telling you right now, if they did something like that, I think I'd probably just cry. Probably just cry. Honestly, that'd be the most insane, trippiest arc imaginable. And maybe they truly have been thinking about something psychotic as that. But if they did something like that, it might not redeem the movies I did not like, but it would redeem characters that have been slighted, like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Like Keaton said, when do we get what we want? You know, well, it's not gonna happen, man.
That's
as
why.
much as I want that, as much as you.
Sony, Matthew, it's Sony.
Look, I really do want to have a conversation about the Sony thing, but I'm not gonna have it tonight. Y'all not gonna bait me. Who's next?
I don't know. So I think I've kind of touched on something that I want. If I want another trilogy, I want Tom Holland to be the center of that, to see his next level of growth. I want hints of Miles in the second movie of the third trilogy, and then Miles coming in at the end of the third trilogy, and Peter mentoring and passing on all the stuff he learned from Aunt May, Tony, Captain America, all those things. And he's starting to impart his knowledge to Miles to make him the next leader, the next hero for the next age. You know what I mean? Like they treated Peter like he's the hero that's promised in these movies, but I want him to impart that knowledge on Miles and not replace him, but just mentor him. And I think I really think that Tom Holland can actually do that, and I think he'll have lessons from the other Spider-Man. But yeah, I say treat this thing like Doctor Who. Bring out the doctors in and bring out the Spider people in every once in a while to spice things up and go. And I would like to see Andrew Garfield get melded into the Spider-Verse. I mean, the animated one with voiceovers, and bring them in there and maybe see a little bit more hint of what's going on with his world, a little more hint of what's going on with Tobey's world. I don't really need them to come back live action right away. They can do that stuff in voice work. That's mine.
Yeah. Okay.
So did that make sense?
No. It did. It actually did.
Okay.
It did. I'm gonna put this picture up here real quick. I know this is a lot. It's a lot going on here. But hold on for a second. So the reason why I put this here is because now we've understood that there's a spider person that's crossed the line, that's actually legitimately crossed the line, that's got a lot of trauma, that's got a lot of anger, and it's also got a lot of acting range. And for me, I would love to see Tom Hardy's Venom in a more serious capacity, and Andrew Garfield and him to have an interaction, whether it is the symbiote attracted to him for whatever the reason, and it doing a balancing act. But even crazier than that is, I was going to ask you guys, I don't think we got time to talk about it. When everybody got pulled back, right? When they got pulled back in their respective universes, do you think that they came back to the place that they died? Or do you think that the universe was completely changed because of what was happened?
Change.
Well, it's just magic, and they don't have to actually answer questions. They can just have plot holes that
Thank you, Keaton.
fill themselves.
They do it on purpose. They do it on purpose. Remember, Dr. Strange said that the multiverse is a situation of which we know incredibly little, which leaves everything for interpretation.
That's right.
Your thing, Sam, about Garfield and Venom, that could possibly happen, seeing as post Carnage, Venom did say a unified knowledge across the multiverses, and that Eddie Brock's brain couldn't handle it, which to me means that across the universes, Venom already knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, right? Which is why he was probably one of the first people to show up. I think he was probably one of the first ones to show up
Yep.
when Doctor Strange's spell hit, he just showed up in Mexico and never really made a move past that point.
Right.
But I think that's feasible. Will we get it? Probably not, but it would be great to see. I think the multiverse has changed because it's the multiverse. We've already seen what's happened when you do certain things in the multiverse. We already seen, the little 2-minute trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness after No Way Home, and how crazy, and what if, and how
What
that
if?
happened.
Right.
We've seen all it. The only thing that seems consistent when it comes to the multiverse is one choice, one decision, one little thing sends everything off the rails. And that's really what it's always been. It's been one decision off the rails of chaos. It's it's almost as crazy as the Hulk trying to explain about, when you go to the past, that past now becomes your future, which doesn't affect your present, which is now your past. It's just crazy. It's all off the
This
rails.
multiverse thing is scaring me, just because I'm just making a quick comment, because you have Loki, where there was a multiverse imbalance because of time and messing with that. Whereas you have, WandaVision and Doctor Strange, you have a multiverse imbalance because of magic. So now we're having the thing where there's two different types of I guess sources that are changing the outcome for the multiverse. So
I think they're all connected. I think that what happened in Loki, it opened up the multiverse for everybody else and everybody throughout time, because Loki's thing didn't happen in one isolated time. It happened throughout all time. It's not other characters readjusting how they view the multiverse and interact with it. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, me too.
Have a good one, Katie, man. Good seeing you,
Last
brother.
question.
Yeah, take it easy. Take care.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was really it. I was just gonna let everybody do their closing outro. I was literally typing it in. So closing thoughts and close it out. And if y'all want to talk about anything more, we can do that. But yeah,
I'll close out first, since I actually really do gotta run. I'll just say this overall. When it comes to Spider-Man, I think we can all agree that overall these movies are not perfect. They all have their flaws, and with the proper management, because LT's going back to the whole Sony thing, and he's been saying it throughout the whole stream. But with the proper management, the proper writers in the room, the proper people in the room, we can get really good stories and get a really good Spider-Man, because there's so many different elements from each of these Spider-Man movies that worked when they did work, and there were other things that did not work because of either messy writing, or maybe, I don't know, a script choice was just wrong or inappropriate in that moment, whatever it was. So, if we can get everyone in an Eternals uni-mind, right, and have everyone on the same page, we can get some really good Spider-Man. But overall, No Way Home, I think it was a banger. It was great. It's going to be a movie that we talk about for a very, very long time, and I will put it up there as up there with the End Games and the Empire Strikes Backs and all of those types of movies that you're just going to talk about forever. And it was good. They did a good job with that.
So,
and Matt, where can everybody? Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. Where can everybody find you?
Oh yeah, right here, name right here. You can find my YouTube with this name, and then you'll just see my face like this, or something like that, and then just click that button, and it's me.
Yeah. Let's go.
Appreciate you having me as usual, Sam.
Yeah, of course, man. And what's your closing thoughts?
Basically, this movie has me excited for Marvel movies again. Not just Marvel movies, whatever they do with Spider-Man going forward. Shang-Chi did not really do it for me. I know that worked for a lot of people. But Eternals, solid, but still didn't get me excited. Black Widow, I thought, was kind of a missed opportunity. And I was kind of worried. I thought maybe the gas had run out the tank, but it didn't give me this level of quality of writing. I'm finally excited for the Multiverse of Madness, and the fact that trailer at the end was really good. Like stepping off with, like, yeah, I'm here for it. I'm going to be in the theater day one again. So this movie did what it had to do to keep that train going.
Word. And where can people find you?
Whenever you invite me on, or you can go to my YouTube page, YouTube Drunk Geek. That's about it.
That. LT?
All right, so I only got 2 words now, and I'm kind of piggybacking off of Ant Gold's thing. Those 2 words are no excuses, because now we actually see that they're capable of doing movies that will bring people out to the theaters and actually give us some quality content. So there's no excuses now. You showed us you have the capacity to do it. So now you're responsible for it. If you're going to continue to make money off of the customers who fall in love with these characters over the years, you have the responsibility to give us quality content and shout out. I'm giving a personal shout out to 80s nostalgia guy, because he said it all in one sentence. Sony sucks at making superhero movies. So I need Sony, you making money all different kind of ways. Get out the superhero game and give Spider-Man back to Marvel. That being said, I'm out. You can find me at Ty Nitty on IG, TYNIDDY. I got horsepower every day, a car joint on YouTube, tech power every day coming in 2022 on YouTube. Look out for that. And I'm out. Spider-Man for the people. 5 boroughs, 1 city, 1 love. And why? Brooklyn, we did it. Hey, yo, Brooklyn, we did it, yo. We did it, Brooklyn. Holla at your boy.
Isn't it Queens, though?
Hey, I'm from Brooklyn. Brooklyn, we did it. Shout out to Queens for Spider-Man. Yo, Captain America's just a humble boy from Brooklyn. I'm a not so humble boy from Brooklyn. Shout out to the 5 boroughs. Shout out to Upstate. Shout out to New York as a whole. Shout out to Westchester County. Shout out to White Plains. Shout out everywhere where New York rolls. Spider-Man is for the people.
Let's go, my nigga.
Holla at your boy.
No, for real.
Don't worry about where Spider-Man from. No, Spider-Man's from New York. Everybody in New York all day. Let's go.
In a real way. Sam Raimi had fucking Joey Diaz in the motherfucking. What is this goddamn picture? Anyway,
yo, you gotta holler at your mans. I don't know why he did you like that.
Yeah, I don't know why he did me like that. But anyway,
he broke the multiverse just now. Okay.
Closing thoughts. Closing thoughts again. I'm not angry at the movie. I don't hate the movie. It's just, you just have to give me more than nostalgia on the silver platter for me to say that something's a great movie. Great movies have great characters, iconic dialogue, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, for me, the movie No Way Home is a 6 out of 10. It certainly is not the weakest Spider-Man movie. Moving forward, there were great moments in this movie. I would love to see more great moments. Beyond that, y'all got me sweating over here. I'm still giggling about what LT was saying. I don't think I have much more to add to that. I thought there was something, but this nigga had me laughing so hard I probably forgot it. So yeah, I hope they just continue. I just want good movies. That's it. I just want great storytelling. That's the only thing I look for, like in literally any movie that I judge. It's just a good or a great story. That's all I need. That's all I want. And hopefully we get more of that. Hopefully we get more of that with Spider-Man upcoming. Because personally, I think the Tom Holland trilogy is pretty weak, in my opinion. So hopefully the Spider-Man cinematic story is coming. And still, like what the Tobey Maguire movies gave us, I feel like there was a real magic there, and I hope we can get back to that. Hopefully.
Bet. So for me, I'm not gonna lie. I've actually been keeping my mouth shut for an extended amount of time. I've let you guys kind of talk, I guess now for what, 2 hours and 43 minutes.
3 hours.
It's been 3 hours, sir.
Close to 3 hours. 3 hours, I've moderated this entire thing. Alexa, lights on. I really did truly enjoy and love this film. I enjoyed everything about it. Like I felt like the magic that Jor-Els speaking of this movie had, and it I think that the beginnings of it, the whole point of the beginning, the reason why it felt really dry is because they were trying to bring us to the impasse that Tom Holland's character was getting to. And the reality is that this is the first time I've ever cared about his character, really. This is the first time I felt like his character actually not only messed up royally, but there's a cost. And he now understands the ramifications of that cost. And he lost everything for it. Because he'd already lost Tony. Now he lost Aunt May. He already lost Uncle Ben. But now he lost his existence and anybody that he'd even connected to. And this is the real raw, Spider-Man that I've always wanted, Holland to get to the point of, in addition to all the things in the fan service I wanted. I loved Daredevil's scene. I loved it. Like, I really, truly loved it. I loved, having them have their moment of fighting together. At first, they were like, yo, I can't even do this. I've never fought with other people before. And Holland's like, oh yeah, I've done this before. I've been in the Avengers. And Toby's like, what's an Avenger? And like just those moments and banter, and them having to work together collectively, it's magic. It's magic on the entertainment level. The whole point of a superhero film is to entertain. Yes, there are movies like, The Dark Knight or The Winter Soldier or Guardians of the Galaxy that have really immersive in stories and that meaning are moving, but they're also movies that really are just an experience. Like Endgame is an experience film, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's where a lot of people will try to make that distinction in comparing these two. I don't think this is like Endgame. I don't think it's better than Endgame, but I do understand that this is an experience that they were waiting for, they were anticipating, and that anticipation was met for me in every level. And I really, truly cannot wait to see this again. This is one of these movies, honestly, personally, I can't wait to own. I would go back right now and look at Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and possibly even skip Spider-Man 3, skip Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and just look at this and be fine. Honestly, I could look at this movie again and again and again. And there's certain movies like that I can't do that with. I don't care to look at Homecoming again, really, outside of the Falcon, or not the Falcon, the Vulture. I don't care to look at the whole Far From Home movie again. And as good as the visual effects are for the Amazing Spider-Man, there are only scenes and sequences that are just cool and epic. But I would probably look at those again, maybe. But this, I know for a fact, I feel like, just like Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, those are films that I would watch again and again and again. And this is one of them. That's just the reality of the situation. But yeah. No, this was awesome, you guys. I appreciate you guys for joining. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this. Make sure you leave a like. You can follow us, of course, Team JVS. We're pretty much everywhere. TeamJVS.com. We do have a website. We're going to be growing that out a lot bit more. Jor-El, where can everybody find you, bro?
Oh, just for the right there, that Jor-Els Alexandria. Just exactly how it looks right there. You can find me on YouTube, on Twitch, and from that you'll find me through all my other social medias and stuff. So, yeah,
Correctamundo. So we may be back for a certain Matrix. I don't know if these guys will want to join. I don't know how they're gonna really feel. I feel like it's gonna be very flip flop, to be honest, because Jor-El has seen it up. And I'm very curious because I have a certain feeling about it. I've kept in. I watched The Matrix now it's about 4 weeks ago. So I can't wait to talk about The Matrix, and I'm gonna be shooting my review probably tonight because it's due tomorrow at 11 a.m. So yeah, we may come back for a spoiler discussion on that.
When's it come out?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On HBO Max.
On HBO Max.
Theaters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna probably do the daggone thing come next weekend if y'all are down. If
it's about to get spicy.
Family is not a thing.
They picked a week to compete with Spider-Man to come out.